Live?
We are live.
Nice.
You think they're going to keep it? We're live. Adam Silver here. About to announce the initial picks.
Maybe we'll put the subtitles on.
Yeah, you're right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. We are kicking it off with the initial picks of the NBA draft. The top two are really kind of expected at this point. You know, it's going to be Cooper Flag and likely Dylan Harper. But where it gets really dicey is when pick number 3 comes in. There have been rumblings that the Sixers are going to be open to trading it, but hearing more recently that they're likely going to keep it. But that's really where the draft gets interesting. I think it wasn't until last week we had Ace Bailey as a lock for the number 3, and then recently it looks like VJ Edgecombe has kind of become the favorite for that pick. They've been dangling that there for a while. So I think those top 3 picks seem somewhat a consensus, but it's really after that it becomes an open chessboard for the rest of the league. So let's see what Adam Silver has to say. What's going to happen here with the upcoming picks. We also have, I don't even know if they're in here, but we have the NBA draft pick from the Miami Heat, Adrian Lorenzo. He's all decked out, with the fashion style of the draft pick would be going for.
Big day for him. Big day for him.
Big day. Stay Center is waiting for him. They have a live draft, party going on there, but we got our own over here, and we're excited to see where things go. I think there's going to be a shit ton of draft trades going on today. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of teams that are just kind of like, out there with too many picks to choose. One being the Brooklyn Nets. They now have 5 first-round picks. They literally have 1/6 of the picks in the entire first round. So I don't think that they roll into next season with, say, 5 first rounders, and they also have a second rounder. So they have 6 picks that they're not going to roll into the season with. So they're either going to trade them before they pick, or they might pick and trade afterwards. So they're like a massive team to be watching at this point, as well as the Utah Jazz that they're kind of in full rebuild mode. And you have a couple guys there with Laurie Markkinen, with a few of their key players that have expendable contracts, really, and some young guys, relatively young guys like Colin Sexton, that could be on championship teams, on contending teams. So looking forward to seeing what these kinds of teams do with their picks and their draft capital. Clearly, what's going to happen here as you see the Dallas Mavericks, celebrating what's the foregone conclusion at this point with Cooper Flag. I think it was always interesting knowing that guy was going to be the consensus coming into today, and there hasn't been any kind of anyone to supplant that narrative at this point. So you have Cooper Flag that's going to be the obvious pick, and then Dylan Harper with the San Antonio Spurs, which is an interesting team right now. They got young guys. They also have De'Aaron Fox, which is relatively a vet, still relatively young, and they also have. At one point, it looked like they were trying to trade that second pick, but they kind of confident in having Dylan Harper pick, and I think that it's going to be kind of interesting to see what they do with that, because they have Stephon Castle, the rookie of the year. They have De'Aaron Fox as a point guard, and now they're going to get another guard. So I don't know how this guy is going to get playing time, probably like a 6 man. But yeah, man, I think that today is going to be a lot of shifting and maneuvering. You've already seen 4 trades happen leading into the day. The Boston Celtics being one team. They got rid of 2 key players with Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and they offloaded about $150 million worth of salary cap.
Yeah.
As a result of that, I might be botching that, but it was definitely hundreds of millions of dollars worth of draft salary cap that they got off the books with Tatum on the mend from that Achilles injury. So we'll see what they do with their picks and with their current roster. But everyone's been saying that the East is wide open. I have a differing opinion. I think that the East is be relatively competitive, nowhere near the West. But the Pacers, even without Halliburton, are a tough team. Celtics are going to be a tough team. The Cavaliers are a good regular season. Orlando's going to be way better now, and so is the Detroit Pistons. So you got teams that are positioned for uh, growth, and I think that the East is still going to be relatively competitive in the top five. We got a few other members in the cast here.
David, you got to tell us why we're here, though.
Why are we here? We're here
That's what you're doing.
as this is the first official live stream for Courtside Cre8ives as part of 786 Sports. We're really excited to actually go live and produce this with the team. We've been doing a lot of content just on the Instagram and X side of it, but we're really excited to actually make it official. And I'm joined by two draft hopefuls here, Junior Alonso and Adrian Lorenzo, hoping to make their name cemented in league history by getting their name called by Adam Silver today. So we'll see if that happens. If not, they'll still be here. We got pizza, we got beer by La Rubia. We got a lot of great things going on. So, but yeah, I mean, it's an open forum. A lot of guys coming into the fold today, so it'll be an ongoing conversation. There's plenty to discuss in today's draft.
So, first of all, I felt like this was the appropriate attire for this event. I think Junior might have outkicked me on this one. He's got full effects and full just everything. But dude, I'm really excited that we're doing this. This has been on the calendar for a while now, and it's really Courtside Cre8ives' debut on the video platform. It's lived as I feel like it'd be a good exercise to just kind of go through how we got here. In terms of, I don't know if the pick is already going to be deviated by the actual picks coming in, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like everyone is going to be shocked by what the pick is.
Right.
It's
Any surprising.
I think I'm going to be shocked by all of them.
You got the Dallas Mavericks have their pick in, and we know that it's going to be
John Carter, legend of the day. Juan Carlos.
Flag, of course. I mean, what an amazing luck of the draw for them to get that pick with a under 2% chance. I know a lot of people have conspiracy theories about what's going on there, but as a Heat fan, I too know the heartbreak of not being the worst team and not getting that when the Chicago Bulls in 2008 got the number one pick and selected Derrick Rose over us when they had a 1.8% chance of actually selecting him. So it actually changed the trajectory of the league forever because I think that it's a much different big three. If we had Rose, I think it's much harder to get rid of Derrick Rose if we have him on the roster, as opposed to Michael Beasley, who had somewhat of an average career, and it made it a little bit easier to offload him for the sake of bringing Bosh and LeBron. So things happen. It's a lottery for a reason, and they don't want teams to tank. So that lottery ball happened to bounce in the favor of the Mavs, which I think might have saved Nico Harrison's job. But Junior, I don't know if you have any thoughts about this pick or the draft in general.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to Adam Silver. He's a good dapper. He's a good dapper. That's something very important. It's a very important thing when you're coming into the league. This is your first welcoming, so pronunciation obviously first is key.
Yes,
but that dap is key and vital. And I think we just saw an incredible dap. Shout out to Roby Ramos, Pops, because he would rate that dap probably 11 out of 10 there. And talking about that draft with Beasley and Chalmers, that was actually my first year with the Miami Heat. Even a month into that season, it was Eric Spoelstra's first full season coaching as head coach. So exciting times, and I'm excited for this draft. Congratulations, Courtiside.
And Spoelstra actually had one of the top, what do you call it? Like from season to season, the highest win growth from the previous season. So it was like 15 wins a previous, and I think it was like 42.
Close to, yeah. I think it was 14, 43. Yeah.
So, he, with a very rough roster, was still able to make something out of it. And that's kind of like how he built his chops and has been able to do that with a bunch of development players and whatever is on the roster. So, right now we're at an inflection point where the team is in transition. You lost your star player in Jimmy Butler. You got to find a new star. We tried running it as this with Hero and Bam and kind of failed miserably in the first round against the Cavaliers. We still feel that there's value there and that we want those guys to be core players to build around. But it seems to be that we're looking for another star to step into that role and step into that void. So I don't know if we find that at the 20th pick today, but I do think that we can find core pieces that can fill in a roster. As we just saw in the NBA Finals, clearly having depth down the roster is – this was from what I recall, one of the first NBA Finals that there wasn't a tight 7 or 8 rotation. They were going into the 9th man, the 10th man, depending on the lineups, and that's just rare to see. Usually, you have your guys and you stick to them, and those are the ones that are going to run with it throughout the playoffs, and more importantly, in the NBA Finals. And so now they're kind of creating a new model to show that, especially with an 82-game season, with a faster pace where you have more possession, there needs to be more depth on the roster for you to plug in during stretches of a game. So, I think Miami keeping their 20th pick is important here.
Yeah.
Whether they trade up or trade down, I think they need a draft and they need to keep adding useful talent with the new CBA is structured. So I think that's really important for us. So I'm excited for that part of it.
I like where we're at.
When is appropriate to start expressing how mad I am about Durant? Is that later in the pick? Is that like
we can do it now?
Wait like a few picks?
Get it out now because we know that the second pick is likely.
I'm legitimately upset. Yeah, I think it's like I don't know. I think the Heat need to be in the currency of excitement as much as like smart plans. Like I don't think you're in a big market. I don't think you can afford to just not also live in the right now. And you already have 2 players on max contracts right now. It's not like you don't have right now emphasis. So to hold up a generational scorer, to have that experience as a Miami fan base, if the rumors are true, to save one of those other picks or one of those other players, or even this pick right now that we're talking about, I just feel like that's like I don't know. There's an argument I can get to where it's like, okay, I guess that was the best thing for this team, but at the same time, like that's not the one I want to make. Like I want to be like I think we're in the top tier of teams where I think we need to have superstar level players.
Yeah,
and that it doesn't feel like there's going to be another access point to that after this.
Well, there definitely isn't another player of the caliber of Durant on the market outside of the unknown trade that's out there, right? Like Giannis was dangled out there for a while, and then that died down when both sides kind of agreed that they want to like run it back. But the issue with Durant for me was obviously the age. It had to do with you're asking in return. It was like 4 players plus picks for Durant. You might have been able to throw in another player on their end to fit in, but I just think that that's like a small window to win in, and then find yourself again in a position with lower draft capital and not enough youthful talent to compete with the current CBA the way it's structured. It's just very difficult to kind of have a roster that contends outside of these, because like a lot of people say the East is weak again, and that's fine. But guess what? We've competed in 2 NBA finals in the last 4 or 5 years, and we've lost in the NBA finals as a result. I don't think it's about winning the East, it's about winning it all. And I don't think with Durant and the current roster as it was, we would have had enough to contend with the best of the West. I think you're going to find an OKC, you're going to find a Minnesota Timberwolves, you're going to find other teams out there that are going to have more of a sturdy roster to compete against a team like the Heat. It's great to get there again. It's always nice to say that you're competing in the NBA Finals, but that's just my take. Obviously, people want excitement on the court throughout the regular season. Sadly, here's another fact: in the last handful of years, Kevin Durant has averaged about 55 games in the regular season, which is something that we were giving a hard time to Jimmy Butler on. So I don't know how people would feel if he also missing out time as a result of that. So that to me is what's difficult to kind of like swallow. And we were in the trade for a while, and guess what? Sadly, he went down with an Achilles injury. And what happens if the aging star that you go out and auction off? Thank you, man. If you auction off your youthful talent and pick for goes down like that, now what? Who do you fall back on? So to me, that's the tough part, and the what ifs that you have to swallow with this. So
that's all fair. It's like a rational argument that I can wrap my mind around, right? I guess I'm speaking from emotion, but also when this team was critiqued, like, oh, we don't have enough to match up against Cleveland, why we're going to get spanked here. It seemed like the primary hole was that we didn't have that scorer that could carry the offense, right? Like the gap in the team is exactly the guy that was presented to you, and then you decided, like, nah, I'm not going to go for that because of all these other reasons, even though that's what my team needs to take it to that next level. And then you held that up, if the rumors are true, over a player that's living on the margins. So, like, I can rationalize, like, this is probably best long-term flexibility. I'm just not sure 80-year-old Pat Riley is making like 5-year projections.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's kicking us back into this semi-rebuild without access to another star. And that feels like, wouldn't we be more excited talking about having Turner and, like, making arguments against?
In the short term, we would be more excited. I agree with that. There's no doubt about that. I think that even in that series against the Cavaliers, we get because of their depth. When you have a Ty Jerome putting 20 plus on you, and you have other guys stepping in and just putting up numbers on you on the back end, Durant is on the starting line. Who do you have on the back end when your second unit comes in to do that? So it would feel even worse, honestly, if he was on the team and we still get smoked. And to me, it's really about the depth that we lack. And we kind of buried the lead here in that Dylan Harper was the second pick, but we kind of knew that coming into this. Now San Antonio is looking like a really interesting young team. Hopefully, Wemby is all healthy coming into the season. Looks like he was hanging out with the Shaolin monks and doing some amazing meditative and mind-body kind of like reframing for himself, and that's kind of scary to me, honestly. I think that he is obviously a generational talent, and you got some guys here that can make them a really interesting team in the long run. Obviously, the West is still a bloodbath, and there's a lot of great teams they have to compete with. But I don't know, man. 2 to 3 seasons from now, if this team keeps building, the San Antonio Spurs are going to be a real tough pill to swallow. And yeah, they have not only the current talent that makes them a little bit scary, but the draft capital to continue to add value to it, which is like the model and the Indiana Pacers model right now.
I think what Adrian said. I mean,
Legends of the day.
Pat Riley,
Pat
Riley right now.
80.
He's 80, and we made a great point, and not enough people have been talking about Durant's injury history. And if you zoom out and see how many games he averaged within the past 3-4 years, that's a big risk you're taking. And you talk about win now, and I feel like Pat Riley, if he's gonna do this, he wants to do it the right way, and it'll set us back even more. If you have a Durant that let's say God forbid he has an injury, think about where we would be at that point, and you have to take that into consideration. Not only his age, but his injury history.
How old's Durant?
37.
He's 30, entering his age 37 season.
I guess I just contest the fact that the team like the Heat, in the market like the Heat, you need to be rebuilt at any point. Like, I think you need to just always be relevant. OKC, their fan base can put up with like however many years not being great, but like the Heat don't have that kind of capital. All right, and we can't just act like this whole thing with Jimmy Butler didn't just happen to us. Like, it's right in our face. It's like the thing that just happened to us, and it didn't. However you want to rationalize how good of a team decision it was, which I agree with, much like it was like kind of hard to swallow with the Jimmy behavior on the other side of it. But like that was not a good positive for the organization to drag through the mud like that, regardless of where they ended up on. So you have to know that you're on the heels of that.
Yeah.
Like that just happened to you. And then to like come up short here, it's not, these two things aren't happening in a vacuum. they're happening together.
I think you can bank on the fact that like nobody wants to win now more than Pat Riley, especially because of what's going on.
And they've
what
always
just
operated
happened,
that way.
You know?
Yeah.
So like in that sense, like I kind of trust. There's like a sense of relief when I know that Pat's more than motivated than ever to get back to being on top. And right now, especially since he doesn't have a lot of years left, realistically before he steps aside.
And I think as a franchise, they've never operated in what's
JC Perez.
hey, how you doing? They've never operated in what is the fan base thing. They've always operated what's best for the organization.
Correct.
And I think that always, and I think that's always
Jimmy,
that was best for the organization.
like superstar ball. That's like,
Yeah, but they weren't doing it because of the fan base. They were doing it because they had the opportunity to bring in 3 generational players to play on the same team. Like I don't think he did it for the fan base. The parade that they threw right after we got them, or the arena party, was for the fan base. But bringing them together wasn't for the fan base. Pat Riley doesn't do things for the fan base. He does things to win and win now, always.
I guess before we jump into it, it looks like the Sixers have their pick in. It's still unknown as to what's going to happen here, but my thought is that it's going to be VJ Edgecombe here. They're also kind of stacked at that guard position with Tyrese Maxey and with Jared McCain, but just the value and the talent that VJ brings might be just best pick available. And so it seems like he might be the pick. It was a week ago, the somewhat consensus that they'd be choosing, but then came out with him denying private workouts and not having great interviews. So we'll see who the Philadelphia Sixers pick here.
I have very little idea who any of these players are. I just wanted to make an emotional Kevin Durant messed up. I'm actually very curious to learn.
VJ Edgecombe did get selected.
Out of where?
Guard.
Baylor. He's a guard out of Baylor.
Okay.
Very defensive minded. One of his idols is Dwayne Wade. But he can jump out the building. He's a two-way player. He can really. What was interesting, he played for the Bahamas international in the Olympics, and he was playing with international and NBA level talent, and really like showing for his own and being someone that stood out on that roster with other people that have been there. So he that's really where people started paying attention to him, and ESPN here is obviously showing like the caliber and the kind of players that he kind of was playing above in the sense. And so he is an exciting player. I think that it's great for the Sixers. I think that eventually they'll move on from Paul George, and maybe this guy kind of like step in and be more of a guard forward, play a little bit bigger than what his size is. The way that Dwayne Wade was, he was one of the best shot blockers at that guard position. I think he has an opportunity to really do that for the Sixers. And so this is, in my opinion, the best pick for them. For anyone that if they would have traded that pick, I think it would have been
Bahamian basketball.
Let's say, is this the highest pick ever from the Bahamas?
Probably.
DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, and you have Buddy Hield.
They go number 3.
I don't know what position DeAndre Ayton went, but he was a number 1 pick. So then he hasn't panned out. He hasn't been panned out. He hasn't panned out to that level. So
that was a while ago now, right?
A bit ago, and he's kind of now stuck in Portland. Trying to figure out what to do there. Here's going back to that point though about going for best available players or trying to build around stars, is that the Phoenix Suns just tried doing this. They had Devin Booker, they acquired Kevin Durant, and they also acquired Bradley Beal. And what it created for them when it didn't work out on the court was a disaster. They gave up a lot of draft capital. They had a salary cap, situation that was really untenable, and so they had to get rid of Kevin Durant. And Bradley Beal has been thrown out into the draft rumor, but he has a no trade clause that's kind of allowed him to stay there. And so that's what really made it difficult to kind of like go after this big three era is over. That is full stop. The big three era is over. Since really Miami did it, and the way the new CBA is structured and the way you construct rosters going deep into playoff runs, you have to have depth. And Halliburton, before he got into the playoffs, was considered quote unquote the most overrated player in the NBA, and he showed that you can be someone that facilitates and creates opportunities and play makes in different ways. And that Pacers team really outperformed any kind of predictions that anyone had for that roster. So I think that looking at those kinds of teams and the way that they're constructed is the way moving forward. Whether that means that puts us 1, 2, 3 seasons out from what that means contention means, that might be a hard pill to swallow. I think that the Heat will still find a way to contend and will maximize whatever players wear that jersey. But the reality is that we need to find a way to foster youthful talent, develop the players that come in, whether they're undrafted or drafted, and then obviously plug in these people that we acquire to fill out a roster. So that to me is really my take for the way that the roster is constructed. And it's definitely a deviation from what we're used to seeing and knowing about the way a Pat Riley or a traditional Miami Heat team is constructed. We got VJ here, kind of accepting this amazing, reality. It's awesome that this guy gets to go number 3 overall. And I think that he's going to have an amazing career. I don't know if the first year in Philly is going to be the best with the way that roster is built and what kind of playing time he'll have. But I think by year 2 or 3, this guy is going to stand out, and it'll make it an easier pill to swallow for the Sixers and that current contract they got with Paul George, unless he's able to start performing and doing a little bit less podcasting to really make that roster, perform at the level that you expected when you got Joel Embiid there. So I think it's a good sign for them moving forward. So now going into pick number 4, you got the Hornets on the clock. There is a little bit of rumblings that they would go after a player like a Knipple here, or they will take a swing on a high-risk, high-reward player like Ace Bailey. He seems like more of a project. He's younger, but he definitely has all the talent and skill set that you would want out of a player. His measurements came out a little bit lower than what you expected, but he was still, that you can't deny the fact that he can hit tough shots and that he has unteachable talent that they might want to take here. But they already got Brandon Miller. I don't know if that collides with what they want, and they wanted to and failed to get Dalton Connect, so they were looking for a shooter. So I don't know if Knipple kind of fills that void. But I'll open the floor up here if anyone else has any opinions on what the Hornets might want to do here.
New arrival to the mix. You got to introduce yourself, man. We got to say, we got to put you on camera. Let's flip to the angle. Yeah.
There we go.
What's
going on, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Great.
I'm Marvin. 24 years. Been around basketball my whole life. I'm very fortunate to coach overseas in China for a little bit, as well as coach college basketball here in the States and do some work for the Miami Heat. So I think I could bring a little bit of different perspective of being in between 4 lines on the day-to-day grind. It's very cool seeing these young men get drafted to the NBA. And I can just say from some of the players that I've been fortunate enough to coach that have gone on to be professionals, that the next level is just a whole different jump. Everybody's so talented, so skilled, and so smart. When you initially get into the professional league, you're already behind the 8 ball. Everybody that you meet there is more experienced than you are. They have more corporate knowledge than you do. So you're just trying to catch up. And in the NBA, there's not a whole lot of practice time. You're on the road. You're traveling. So you're really just practicing while the games are going on. And for these young men, how they're able to receive information and then produce it on the floor will be incredibly vital to their success.
Absolutely.
We were talking about it earlier with baseball, but that jump from minor leagues to professionals is a huge jump, like insane. Everybody's just so much more focused and on point and more talented. Is it the same way, in the NBA?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you think about it, all these players that are getting drafted today, they're by and large the best players on their team, right? All the players that you're going to be playing against in the NBA are the same, but it's more seasoned. And I think that adds a different level of focus and preparation that you have to be able to to take it to the next level. I mean, we just saw the NBA finals, right? I think you alluded to it before. Guys 1 through 10 can absolutely play.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We're in this league now where skill is just at such a high, like at a paramount, that you really have to be able to.
They picked Knippel. So they got their shooter and their well-rounded athlete. Honestly, he's another Duke prospect. So it looks like Duke, if Malawach goes in the top 10, I think he might. The Duke is going to have 3 top 10 players getting drafted this year.
Small time program.
Yeah, small time
It's
program.
small, bro.
I'm sure that doesn't help their recruiting at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure their NIL budget is small too.
Yeah, I don't think.
Just stay elite.
Man, but this kid really like rose up the draft boards in the last handful of weeks. He was kind of like positioned to be in the lower half of the top 10, and even some people had him in the teens. And so him getting to this point shows that his game tape, his private workouts, his the way that he kind of interviewed must have been left a lasting impact. And yeah, the Hornets need a lot of help, and shooting is one. This guy can definitely be a plug and play guy for them. So he's a 6'6" guard. He is pretty sturdy. He's not like a defensive demon, but he is someone that can stay in front of his guys. And as you see here, like he's an elite shooter. That's first and foremost. But he plays really good team ball. He does a little bit of everything. So I think that they need guys like that to kind of round out their roster and kind of like build around LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and now.
What are his comparables?
I mean, there's just a lot of different players that kind of like come into the mix. I haven't seen a lot of direct comparisons, but I would say from a Miami Heat side, I would say defensively he's not the best, but he plays as solid defense as someone like a Max Strus played when he was with us. Max Strus, not known for defensive acumen, but like not going to be a pushover and not going to be completely caught in a spin cycle every time someone does the first move on him.
Give me the pronunciation on this again?
Knippel.
For sure on that.
Yeah.
You're solid on that, huh?
No, it's just not. It's it's not straightforward. So that's I found it really interesting what you were saying, Marvin, about like the gap between college ball and the NBA. Do you think it's bigger than it's been in a long time, or have we closed that gap?
I think there will always be that sizable gap just because the players next level are just so great at what they do. Their roles. We just saw the Oklahoma City Thunder with their guys. They're so young. You know what you're getting when Case of Wallace texting the game, Jalen Williams, and all those type of players. It's really hard for me to say that the gap is closed because on the back end of the NBA, they've gotten much better.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pull up every analytic ever made. It will tell you that players now are just more skilled. No longer are bigs playing back to the basket. They can handle the ball. They're catching and attacking closeouts. They're making reads off pick and rolls. I was watching Isaiah Hartenstein make a read off a drop coverage. 10, 20 years ago, bigs weren't really doing that. I mean, we were very fortunate. We had Chris Bosh in the Miami Heat, who had that sort of perimeter skill.
Ahead of his time.
Very ahead of his time. Shout out Spo for putting him in the positions for the team to succeed.
Interesting.
Now it's just like everybody's doing that. If you have a big that can't do it, now you're looked at like, what's your team doing? So I would say the jump is still sizable.
Interesting.
When you do watch Division I college basketball, I was in Division II for a little bit. Bigs typically are more traditional, like they rim run. They're ducking in and sealing, trying to get low post touches. It's a lot different in the NBA. Now we're a lot more focused on space and how do we create the space? How do we manipulate the space? How do we manipulate the space that the defense is trying to take away? Like there's a lot of different things that are different from college.
With the most information that we've ever had now at the NBA level. You said something super interesting. They run into this problem and they figure out all the best ways, the best information, the best data to act on, the best biometrical stuff, but you still have to chew that down into something your players can actually apply and execute. What you're saying was like now these guys, there's so much you have to know how to do, and so much system, so much space creation, so much information you have to absorb, and then go out and execute on that. And it can be like information overload probably now because we have the best info we've ever had access to before. So
absolutely, it's funny you bring that up. I just like had a flashback to like having a meeting with one of my freshmen that came in to our system about 6'11", very good at doing the traditional big man stuff, but we're trying to teach him how to read a tag or a weak side tag. So again, if the defense is in a backside rotation, there's usually a defender sliding over. So we're just like, hey, look, if the weak side tag comes over, you got the corner. But if he doesn't, the person that's in the corner is going to do a drag. You're going to drag up to the break. You're going to hit him. And it was just so hard for him to like try to process that. It's like, yes, defenses are going to try to confuse you. And you need to be able to notice the tell like right away. It's just a lot of those things that you just really have to pick up.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Looks like, I don't know if the pick is in yet, but the Jazz are on the clock. Yeah, the pick is in. There's really here, I guess, they might just take, an upside swing with someone like Ace Bailey, or they can get like a certified bucket with Trey Johnson. I don't really know what direction they want to go here, but that organization is in flux. I think they're trying to offload Lauri Markkinen. And so there's really like an opportunity for any of these players, any of those to kind of step in and create an opportunity for themselves. If I had to guess, I think they're going to go with Ace Bailey just to put him in a position to have that long term. He's young, they can develop him. He's a little bit of a project. Whereas Trey Johnson can kind of plug in right now and score for almost any team. I mean, Ace can do that too, but yeah, where I'm going with this. So let's see who they pick here. Ace Bailey. I went with Ace Bailey here. Yeah, this guy has comps with a little bit of Kevin Durant in his game. There's a few others, but it's just still a lot to learn on the defensive side, to book up. I don't know in terms of his supporting cast in terms of the team been representing him. There was a lot of like rumors that he wasn't going into interviews and performing well, so I don't know why he slipped out of the third and went here, but I still think he has a lot of talent. I think that he has an opportunity in Utah to make that happen. I don't know how they're going to use him, honestly, but I do think that this kid has a lot of upside, and hopefully for him and for them that he can actually perform at the level that he's in position to perform at.
Yeah, we're Sacramento in their arc as an organization, like bigger picture.
They were 2 years ago. They were kind of like in the playoffs, and they looked like an interesting team. And then kind of things fell off the rails when Fox asked out. He moved to San Antonio, and that they right now they also made the trade with the Bulls, and they got Levine. Their contract situation is not great. Their salary cap situation is great. There's been rumors that they might be willing to move Sabonis, centerpiece on their roster right now. So I don't know what the Kings are right now. There's been also like offshoot rumors that they've been willing to move Malik Monk and Devin Carter, which they have a horrible history of moving promising guards like Terry Halliburton and Jalen Fox and Mitch Monaghy. So if we're able to get Devin Carter as a part of that trade, by all means, bring him. He was one of my top choices last year outside of people like Khalil Ware. So the Heat definitely need a starting point guard. And so I think that guy could fill the void. But yeah, the Kings right now are not in a great spot. I don't know what they do with their pick. It takes one pick to kind of fix what's going on over there right now.
So your draft pick, you get selected by Sacramento. Are you like, what's your reaction?
Selected by the Utah.
Okay, sorry, yeah. So, okay, somebody going to Sacramento, what's the reaction to the kid? Is it like, or is it like, oh, this is opportunity? Like what? I'm very curious about this.
Sacramento it sucks because they're 2 years removed from being a playoff team. They made it to the play-in and then they didn't, make it out of it. So they're kind of on the cusp. And you don't know. I mean, for a while they've kind of been irrelevant, so it is they might be used to that feeling. But I would assume that they're yearning for being a playoff team again. But it's the West, and that is brutal. And if I'm them, I'm trying to find what upside swing can I have long term to rebuild because you're not in a great position in the West. If you're in the East, yeah, you have a little bit of a chance to make some noise and contend in some capacity. But yeah, the Kings are in a really tough spot.
Do you guys think you need to have a great name to be good in the NBA? Like your name needs to sound good. This is a thing in baseball. Oh, good name, Ace Bailey. Good name.
You're saying it. The
Good name, Cooper Flag.
Yeah, great
Good
name.
name. You know, like, do you need one in order to have the confidence to actually be a good player? Because I feel like I heard Wembanyama's that it rolls off the tongue pretty good. Like better. If you could do it with a name like Giannis, he has Giannis, right? Nobody's ever saying attempting to say the last name, but
to me, that's all marketing and positioning. Honestly, like
so it does have value.
You got Nick Clifford, and his name is Dominique.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton is a good name.
So pretty much, I mean, yeah, Halliburton's a great name. I think that there's some guys that live up to their names. I don't know if that's like the ultimate factor, but I think that it definitely helps, right? Just from marketing, because the league has to market those players. I don't know what VJ Edgecombe's full name is, but VJ is a cool fucking.
It's a great name.
Cool name.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's three, or 3 picks in, 4 picks in. Everybody's got an elite level name. It feels.
But it's really interesting just watching the drafts. The one like
Valdez is his first name.
Yeah.
VJ's first name is Valdez. Okay, so yeah, VJ is definitely a better.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Sorry.
No, it's okay. As I've been watching the draft, we've had Washington make a pick, or they're about to pick. Charlotte had a pick. Dallas had a pick. And one thing I kind of look at is like the direction. What direction are they really going in? And for Charlotte, when they made that pick, they got younger. And I don't think youth right now is the best thing for them because they're already very, very young. Now, we're very lucky as Heat fans to have Pat Riley kind of like guide what the culture is, what's going to be the day-to-day standard. And I look at Charlotte and I kind of look at them like, all right, so what are we trying to go for here? What are we trying to build? Are we trying to build a team that is competitive in the East for years to come, or are we just putting guys on a team that just, their top picks, let's see what we have. What is going to be their identity going forward? Like Dallas drafted Cooper Flag, terrific for them. They got Kyrie Irving, even though he's injured, he's going to be coming back. Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson. He's surrounded by a veteran.
By the way, they also had Derek Lively, which I don't know if you saw. He gained 2 inches. He was 7'1", and now he's 7'3".
Crazy.
Which is absurd. You see a photo with him next to Anthony Davis, and he's almost towering over him. You're like, what is going on?
Right.
So it's kind of crazy that these kids that are 18, 19, 20 years old, some of them still have growth spurts in them. And you could have a guy that gains, 1 to 2 inches in both height and wingspan, and now it's like that kind of changes what happens on the court too.
That's crazy.
Who has among like the NBA circles, right? Who has the best reputation in the draft? Like what teams consistently punch above their weight in the draft for selections? And are the Heat in that category?
I think personally, Oklahoma City is head and shoulders above of everybody, and the track record is so long. You can go back literally a decade to when your hat says 2013. They were still picking like top-notch guys.
Okay.
I mean, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, Eric Maynard, Serge Ibaka. Jeez. I mean, you're just like knocking it out of the park. And then you fast forward 10 more years. You got Shea, Jalen, and the rest of this crew.
So they're number one. Who else gets put in a like, okay, these guys draft really well conversation?
I think historically the San Antonio Spurs.
Pacers
are probably up there too.
Pacers are up there.
Warriors somewhat. Yeah.
I want to know who like has respect as like, the scouting.
Boston, I guess. Boston's probably a good one too.
Boston did well. They did well with those players.
Okay, so it looks like the
Derek White
Wizards
wasn't
have their
good, but-
pick. Honestly, here, they got to go Trey Johnson. Yeah, I mean, Trey is incredible, and I think he would. There it is. So Trey Johnson is just he played on a terrible team and outperformed for being on that terrible team, the Texas Longhorns, and just like going back on his even before college, like the kid he knows how to score. He's less of a on-ball scorer in the sense of like he's not a point guard per se. He's more of a shooting guard. But man, when that guy gets the ball and you put him in the right positions, he can get a bucket. And yeah, I think it's great for Washington right now. They actually kind of shifted to a more veteran approach because they got Chris Middleton, they got Marcus Smart, who they just had.
They just traded for CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum. So they got some vets in there, which is good. Which I think, going back to our conversation about the Hornets, they would be better served for a situation like that where you get some aging guys that are vets that, in their own rights and in their own time frames, are great players that they can teach and kind of like foster that next class. Because I do feel like the Hornets is kind of like, yeah, it is almost like a beehive that's struck by a bat and you don't know what's going on. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a big LaMelo fan. I feel like him being your alpha A1 guy isn't the best. I think he probably will be best if he's a number 2 or number 3 on a veteran team. But I don't know if they're in a position to make that move. He definitely has his own pedigree and his own attention, but I don't know what the best path forward. I think Washington's doing some right things in having a good mix of vets with youthful talent that they can build around. And obviously, they're still in full rebuild mode. They still need to acquire talent to make that team actually competitive. So Trey Johnson should be a guy that moving forward could be a staple for them because this guy can shoot the lights out.
Yeah, you definitely need that in this league for sure. I mean, and we've been spending a lot of time on the Hornets, man, but it's just like, at the end of the day, your team has to have a plan. Like, what's the plan for them? And you have so many young guys, so much youth. They're always competing against each other. The goal isn't win games. It's like, how do I get more playing time, like on this team, to better support myself in my career and my goals? And it's a lot of me. They're young. They're young, 19 to 21. And just having that in the locker room without those veteran voices to say, "Hey, young fella, you'll be more successful if you did X," or "Hey, young fella, this is how we do this." That sort of thing. I know that's kind of like gone to the wayside a little bit in the NBA, just a little bit. Some teams still keep the veteran voice on the team, but it's so valuable when you have a guy that's been there, 8, 9, 10 years that has basically seen everything win. That can help guide those players.
Does that show the value of like the Heat, the San Antonio Spurs, and those organizations that have been so consistent over the last 20 years? OKC is probably another one for sure. Does that show the value in those type of organizations? Because you have a lot of these young kids coming in and
Pacers
to be able to step into that.
Celtics obviously are also teams that are worth kind of like pointing out in that mix. But yeah, having a front office that definitely values not just young talent that they can foster, but veterans that can compete now, that can lead the team and be a locker room voice that can actually help that next wave, step into their roles effectively.
The top down.
Because if not, you really end up, before the Wizards did what they did, it felt like a lot of guys that are relatively young and you don't know who the leader is there. Same thing with the Hornets, and they keep running in circles essentially. I think the Jazz are also in a similar situation. They got some vets in there, but it doesn't feel like anyone's an alpha voice in there that's like gonna pull you aside on the side. When you're on the bench and you're in a timeout or you're in the locker room at halftime, that's like, hey guys, like we need to do X, Y, and Z to actually like turn things around and to maintain the lead. So I 100% agree that having not only the front office, but the player staff and personnel and at the ground level is them and the actual vets, and then relay that message down to the players that are next in line.
For sure. I think the word we're looking for is an alignment. Like everybody has to think just in line of what we're trying to do. Standard culture. I know that Freeze is kind of.
I was gonna say the word you're looking for is culture.
Yes, but everyone's got to be in line. I mean, your team is young and they have to develop. There has to be a level of patience that everybody has to have in the organization. Does ownership share that view with you? Are they trying to win now?
So
are
important,
they?
man.
It's so important.
So important.
So important.
So we got the New Orleans Pelicans up on the clock. The pick is in. I'm actually looking back at my mock draft from 6 days ago, and all of them have been spot on randomly.
It's not random, man.
This one,
Because you're good.
This one, I don't know if this one hits because he's kind of like been fluctuating. I think that they would go for Jeremiah Fears here to get like a certified point guard. Not a great 3-point shooter, but he puts his head down and drives it in and finds a way to get to the basket. He has a good mid-range jumper. He can get to hoop when almost at will, and not a bad passer either. So I feel like he's a ball-dominant guy. But right now there's kind of conversations like, do you want to have a Zion point center situation going there? Yeah. I don't think that's the right move. I don't think that's the way they operated in Duke when he was performing at his peak. I don't think that's the way he should move forward. Sure, that's an option, but I don't think that he's a Jokic type. You know what I mean? Like, if he's not dishing out 10 assists a night, I don't think he should be your point forward, your point center. So I think getting a point guard here, the best available would be Jeremiah Fears. You probably would trade down if you don't want him because the next best available would probably be Kasparis Yakachonis from Illinois or Igor Demon from BYU, which I don't think that they are top 7 pick value at this point. So I think they go with Jeremiah Fears here. Could be wrong. There's a few other guys, like if they want to go double big, they go Malawak. But I think Fears is the pick here. 6 for 6 so far.
6 for 6. And that's why you tune into Courtside Cre8ives on 78 Sports for accurate coverage.
So let's say we want Fears.
Look at that, man.
So this kid has that it factor where you can tell that he's willing to put in the work. You can tell that he's really confident in himself to the point that he thinks he's the best player in the draft. So a little bit of overconfidence, but
I want those guys.
But you want those guys. You want that guy to be the alpha. And right now there is a void there. DeJounte Murray is not really a point guard, but he's out with his Achilles injury. Jose Alvarado is really a backup guard there, and McCollum's gone. So like there's a void in New Orleans when it comes to the guard position, and I think he fits that well. He was a guy I was looking at when the Heat were on the cusp of maybe not making the play-in and probably having the number 11 pick that they could get him. And look, even then he still wouldn't have been available because he worked his way up and showed that he could be number 7 pick overall. So
yeah, no doubt. But check out that chain though.
That chain. These kids. So a point that I wanted to touch on earlier is like this is actually since 2022. Yeah, no, he's got some moves. Since 2022, the early entrance to the draft, the number of kids that out of college declared to go to the draft was 283. And entering this year's draft, it went down to 106. So a 62% drop in early entrance. And out of those 106, about 50 of them also went back because of NIL at this point. You got guys that if they're on the cusp of being outside of the lottery or being in the second,
you're not even going
second round, that they're getting paid equivalent or guaranteed money in NIL money to stay in college.
Is that good or bad for the sport?
I think it's a 50-50 thing. I think it's good in the sense that now you have college programs that might retain talent a little longer, and that you might have kids that don't come out so green to have a little bit more, of a maturity and playing time before they step into the league. Obviously, they're still going to be the one and done. Like you have the Cooper Flags of the world. You got guys that are going to be so good that they just can't pass up that, no matter how much money you throw at them.
Sure.
But I mean, we just had a kid from Yale transfer to Florida. He's getting paid $6 million in NIL money.
Good for him.
That's more than good for him.
him.
Like there's like lottery picks that don't get that money. Essentially. So it is a new frontier when it comes to that. So that is what you're playing with. And what that also might mean is that international players might continue to, carve a path because they don't have that kind of, if they don't go to college in the US, they don't have that level of money going their way.
Sure.
So they might, play in a German league, a French league, an Israeli league, whatever it may be in Europe, and have a little bit more eyeballs, a little bit more attention and likelihood to stay in the draft because you have players kind of going back for a second or third year. So it is interesting. I think there will be a plateau and there will be a point where maybe the contracts kind of get restructured or there is a cap on what these players get in NIL money. But it is still a brave new world.
Arguably good for those win now programs, right? Or franchises in the NBA, right? Guys in the draft right now they're ready to go.
A little bit more of that. Yeah, I felt this year that there's it didn't feel like there's as many projects in the sense of they're just young and talented and you're just gonna take them and stash them away. The Oklahoma City Thunder are one of those teams that do that though. They literally got a guy who was a top 10 pick, I think, and he didn't play a single minute because he was coming off surgery and now he's an NBA champion. But they haven't even played a single minute, and this kid is a top prospect waiting to play. And they might take a swing on some guys like that because they don't have any pressure anymore. They won the chip, and now it's a matter of we keep building around the players that we have in the roster that we have, and I think that's really those kind of teams will take more of those swings on project players that they don't need to even touch for 2 seasons, 3 seasons from now.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on 2 things. So the first was the NIL and how it's affecting college basketball now. I could just say at the level I was coaching at, there were a lot of Division I kickbacks coming down to Division II to get their statistics up to go get that bag in Division I.
Wow.
So that was a thing. Also, I feel for the high school players nowadays because it's even harder to get into Division I athletics. Think about it. They're 4th, 5th year, 6 year seniors that are sticking around to get that money. So coaches, the thing with coaches, they always want to get older, right? We just mentioned the Hornets again, that they're very young. It can be hard to win games. Your job as a college coach, especially if we talk about Duke, whatever, your job is to win games. Bottom line, get players, win games. That's all that matters. It's a lot easier to do that with a 23, 24-year-old, maybe 22-year-old that might have the priorities in order more than an 18, 19-year-old player. And it's really unfortunate that that's the case, but that's the adverse effect that the NIL has.
Yeah, and he still has a factor when drafting because he had guys like Dalton Knecht, who was certified bucket, was in the Elite 8 last year for Tennessee, and top scorer, I think, entire NCAA.
Great name too.
And he slipped down to the Lakers because he was 3 years old, or maybe even 24. But guys like that no matter how well you perform, there's guys like Nick Clifford that are right now 23 years old that I think slip. I think he gets picked by either Oklahoma City Thunder or Minnesota Timberwolves because they're both contending teams and they don't care about the age.
Yeah.
So Thunder are either going to take a guy that's a project and they stash away, or they're going to take a guy they can plug in right now because they know that there's a couple contracts coming up they might have to upload or find a solution.
Right. That actually was my next point. Oklahoma City Thunder, as you mentioned, do a terrific job in their scouting and their drafting, and they're going to be faced with the same questions that they had after they lost the 2012 NBA Finals against the Miami Heat in 5 games. Who do we pay?
Yeah.
Who do we let go? And I actually think it's kind of a detriment.
It looks like the Nets just made a pick, and they went with Igor Demin. That is the first reach of the draft.
Did you have that on your board?
I did not. I had Carter Bryant going. Him going to the San Antonio Spurs because he is a freak in the sense that he's a 6'9" point guard, so he has the length to kind of like dish. He's probably the best passer in this class. Now, his shooting numbers and his shot in general is suspect, and a lot of people feel that that's going to be a tough thing to kind of like compensate for. So the thing is, the Nets are kind of a team in flux, so it kind of makes sense to make a swing like that. But it almost made more sense to go on to a team that already doesn't need him, that they could bring him off and he just needs to facilitate. So we'll see what they do with him. He's more on the project side, I would say. And he's also a guy that might even keep growing because this kid was so young. I think he's 18 or 19 years old and doesn't even look like he's comfortable in his own body. His kid's definitely gonna keep growing, and so it's that EuroLeague kind of style of play, and so you can tell here like pick and roll, passing. He definitely has that going for him, and he has enough length that he could still, create some situations where defensively he could make it tough for some guards. But he's definitely a passer, a playmaker first, and then his shot is what is the biggest question mark. So we'll see how they use him. The Nets are a team that they still have another 4 picks. Yeah, he shot 27% from 3 points, so it's not great. He shot 30%, I think, the year before, but it's like just not great from that perspective. But if he's able to string it together and find a way to make it all work and lead with his passing and lead with his playmaking, maybe he finds a role. Maybe he's a backup guard that can kind of do the combo thing for them.
I just had an assistant just text me that he was going to be the steal of this draft. Now, I haven't watched the film on him, so I'm going to leave that up in the air. But clearly, he has great potential. Brooklyn seems to be quite happy with their pick.
I mean, I initially had him on the Heat, on my board early on, but I knew he was going to be drafted in the lottery. So I was like, this is not, it makes no sense to put him on there. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but even Cedric Coward is probably not going to fall to us. But I think really Rasheer Fleming and Nick Clifford are the two likely people that might be available at pick 2 that would fit well into the Heat system, and like there's no doubt you will find a use for them. And you've got some guards right below them with Nolan that can, they're a little bit more projects, I would say, but they have the potential to be a lead guard and can both score and facilitate from that perspective.
I wanted to touch back on Oklahoma City. They just won the finals, and again, they've been drafted very well. I think the NBA needs to come up with a clause that allows you to keep your draft picks. We talked about direction, we talked about picking well, and what you want for your team. You're filling a need for your team. And I think Oklahoma City is becoming a victim of its own success. They've done such a good job getting star talent all the way down the board, and now they're going to have to choose who do we let go. I don't think that's fair. I think maybe we could have some sort of control, but maybe we got something like a bird right. But for the draft picks that you get, I don't think there should have been a world where Oklahoma City had to choose between, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, and Serge Ibaka. That they drafted all those guys. They should have been able to keep them. That's kind of like where I'm at with everything. They've done a good job in stockpiling picks. They have picks for the next decade, basically.
They have since 2031, they have like 27 picks or some ridiculous number. It's just like they're set up for success. Like they already got the chip, first time in history for Oklahoma City, so they got that off the back, and now they're in a position. You can tell even Sam Presti was like, he's been active in this draft process. It's not like, I can sit back because we just won a title. Like this guy is still locked in because for him, this is 18 years in the making. It's not like he just stepped in and he's like just wants to get that title on his resume. He knows all the dirt and mud that he had to go through to actually get to the point where this organization is in the position it is.
And he's in the league now where things turn over very rapidly. So teams are smart. You got smart guys on their staff. they're trying to devise a way. How do we create a team that's going to beat this Oklahoma City team? So he's got to be 2 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead.
100%.
And shout out to him. He was stockpiling draft picks before it was even really a thing. People were just like, why does he want this pick? Why does he want that second round pick? Why does he want this first round pick? It's paid off in
100%.
a huge way. I don't know the draft pick numbers as a whole, but I would venture to say no one is nearly close to Oklahoma City in total amount of draft picks that they have for the next 5 years. There's no one's been that active in the free market just for picks.
So it looks like the Raptors have their pick in. My thought here just seems like a Raptors guy is Kamen Malawak from Duke, center. I think he has a lot of upside. I think the dude is just, can fit right into that team. They don't really have, outside of Pirtle, they don't really have a center.
Yeah.
So I think this guy can fit in. He's still young. I think he's only been playing basketball for like 4 years. He's like very young. He's still learning the game essentially. So the fact that he played on that Duke team, they went so deep, and they're still even like Flag Unprompted has had really good things to say about his teammate. So I think he might be the pick here. And then I don't know. He just seems like a Raptors guy.
Yeah, the Raptors, they just got Brandon Ingram, so they're trying to find their identity as well. So it'll be interesting to see who they pick here.
Yeah, exactly. They're still in flux. There also have been rumors that they're trying to offload R.J. Barrett. So I think that they also, I don't know, I forgot if they have another pick in the first round or the second, but they probably want to figure out what they're going to do at the guard position. Move if they do move Barrett, but they're also in a weird spot where they got to figure out what the right identity is for the team.
Yeah, for sure. And for them, it's really hard to get players because again, when you play for the Raptors, you get taxed twice.
Oh yeah,
you have to pay the Canadian tax, you have to pay the U.S. tax on your salary. That's right. You have to go through customs each time you go in and out of the country as well. So it's a big thing.
Oh wow, they went Colin Murray Boyles here. Deviated from what I thought here. A little bit higher than what I expected him to go, but he was always a lottery prospect. Doesn't really have a 3-point shot, but he's physical, plays great defense, can rebound, can get his shot in the mid to low post. He's a gritty kind of player that I think if they're trying to build their identity around that, I think that's a smart move. But I guess if they didn't feel the need of bolstering that front court and getting another center, I think that this guy could also fit in. He's also a guy that I think a lot of lottery teams could use. A lot of teams in general could use. But questions about his shooting at the perimeter is obviously what is the biggest question mark with him.
Yeah, in this league now, you play on the wing, you have to be able to knock down a three at a high clip. It's unfortunate that's where the league is now. But you're a product of this generation, so you better get used to it.
100%.
Yeah, Toronto seems to get more athletic with this pick. Very good around the rim for him, I think.
Even Boucher for them last year had a good season, and so now getting Ingram and Boucher and this guy, they have some length at that 3-4 spot, and Pirtle had a sneaky good year as well. Not Zubac good, but pretty good. And so I think that they feel confident in what they have there. And I think that they're kind of bolstered in the forward position now. So it's about they find value in RJ Barrett and quickly. Or Grady Dick is also there, so that's also a prospect that needs to pan out. So there's definitely this is a show out year for those guys and see what they have in terms of talent, see what their identity truly is. They might be a team that is difficult to play against because they're not going to be. There's a lot of talent on that roster. It's just a matter of how they string it together, and if the coaching staff can actually maximize it.
Yeah, for sure. And Masai usually does a pretty good job in the draft, and usually has a pretty good direction of what he wants his team to look like.
Yep. Just want to point out we're over an hour in. David, I haven't seen you look at your notes one time. So you've just done this whole thing from the dome.
Yeah.
And that's
just shoot it from the hip.
savage.
But shooters got to
Savage level knowledge
I
on both of
shout-out.
your ends.
No, I got to give shout outs to a few of the other, sources that No Ceilings is definitely one of the podcasts I've been listening to. Those guys have been covering this on a weekly basis. You got Sam Vecini, the Game Theory podcast. That dude's been at it for over a decade and came out with a guide like 300 pages long that is incredible. A few guys that I've been on Twitter, X, going back and forth. Intangible Hoops, Intangible IQ. Kyle, he's him and I have had a good conversation on there. He's doing a live stream as well with Draft Stack. So there's guys that are doing it in their own right, and I look up to, and I think are good source information outside of the mainstream media. It tends to just give you the very generic kind of like flashy object. I think there's a lot of people out there doing their homework and that are draft sickos that are looking at players down at AAU level, down at before they transfer to a program. Guys that they're like, I'm high on Maxime Renaud. I've been following Stanford for the past 4 years, and I know that he's going to be a good pick if he's in the late first round. There's guys out there who give you this information that I've been studying it, so it's not like this is off the dome just because I did the research. I've been listening to other voices out there that have done their homework and have shared it with the world.
You're deflecting credit, but
and this room, I can see a couple
all of that you just
drafting weirdos in here.
So that's expert level. You can go toe to toe with Perk. I'm watching. I think
there's some guys up there that have some hot takes that I don't agree with. I mean, they give them all the credit for being former players, but hey, even Michael Jordan wouldn't be a great coach or wouldn't be a great person to have certain kind of conversations with. They know their craft, they know how to play the game. But there's certain craft to evaluating talent, and that doesn't mean you have to be a former player to be able to do that. And that doesn't also qualify you as an expert as a result of that.
Who's the Mel Kiper or the Todd McKay of the NBA right now? Who's the top dog in terms of these draft projections?
Adrian, off camera.
Better.
You mentioned it.
Sam Vecini. That's the guy. He's not.
Shout out to over there,
Adrian, right? Part of the athletic.
We gotta get the other Adrian on
the other Adrian. He's kind of like the banker in that game.
Hi.
He's off camera, but he's giving you the information. He's getting off the phone. He's revealing information of what's going on. So we got insider info. So next on the clock is the Rockets, which it's in. Okay.
It's in.
Too soon to talk about the Rockets.
Too soon.
They just added Kevin Durant.
This is an important pick for them.
This is. I don't know what they do here.
This is a very important pick.
They go big.
But
they brought back Steven Adams.
Yep.
And they have Şengün. So they don't really need a big unless you just want a backup big.
No.
This was the Phoenix pick, no?
Chet Stedman is the only Rocket I know.
Oh, this is the Phoenix pick. So they pick is for Phoenix.
Cheddar.
Okay, so then then it is a big. I think they go Malawak, right? Even though they have Bol on there, which I don't know if he's ever going to pan out, but shout out Manute Bol.
He's legend.
What's up with Bol?
Bol, I mean, he's on the roster, but I don't know if he
the trading block. Why are you mentioning his name?
Roster. He's on. So this is so.
He's on the Rockets roster.
No, Houston is picking for Phoenix.
Okay.
This is the pick that was part of that trade.
Yeah, part of the trade.
What kind of system is the Rockets? What kind of system is KD stepping into here?
A defensive-minded team.
Very defensive-minded team.
That struggles shooting, so they filled that void with him.
Nailed it.
But they got rid of Jalen Green because he didn't perform at the level they needed him to. And so they need shooters, but they got one with KD. I think now they're just shore up. Well, now they're going. Now it's Phoenix.
We got to get you a mic.
So Mark Williams has been traded to Phoenix, which Malawak got selected
Oh,
here.
no.
But it's a whole separate pick, a whole separate trade that Phoenix just made to get Mark Williams. So didn't they have Nick Richards already? They have Nick Richards and then Mark Williams now.
This is
No, Malawak is supposed to go ninth, so him going one further down. They swapped.
So where the hell is Malawak going now?
He's going to Phoenix.
Okay, so the trade with Charlotte was what now?
Charlotte did a separate trade, which I'm
all right,
sure they're going to announce it here. And while they do that, I'm going to hit the bathrooms.
oh boy.
This guy's gonna pressure clean that.
We've been missing out on the chat, dude.
Yeah, let's check out
I
his
can't
stat.
see any of that from here.
That's awesome.
You can show them.
Sheesh. Okay, I'm gonna need you to. I think you can coordinate from this. I just
These let me just tell you something right now. These glasses aren't for vision, they're for Riz. It's draft day. Yeah, my stylist told me I should wear them.
So this is 3 Duke picks in the top. How many picks? 3 Duke selected already, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. As far as
Yeah, they had a.
But
I would imagine that helps for recruiting.
also kind of a common theme, most likely.
I don't think Duke will ever struggle with recruiting.
I think historically, probably Duke,
Oh, that's a good
Kentucky, UNC.
He's
I'm gonna be
crying.
that sounds about right.
probably have the most top 10 picks.
Uganda.
I don't know
Or
the
he's from
stats,
South
but-
Sudan. They give him Uganda.
But you said it with conviction, so I'm gonna go.
I mean, we're both winning teams. I think everything comes.
Did you see that?
Wow.
Whoa.
Is that a Dwayne Wade or Dean Wade? It's
Wait, wait, ward number 3 Cleveland.
9.
9. That's probably Isaiah Thomas. Who's number 3 for Cleveland with that
Man.
Goodyear jersey?
That year.
Oh yeah, go for it.
What
You're right, he did wear it here. Ooh,
Number
good lord.
Tristan Thompson, 13.
Guys, we've been missing out on the chat this whole time.
Was it Dion?
Apologize,
No.
guys.
Two?
Dion. Nah, that was past Dion.
Mika. Shout out Mika. Karis LeVert, dude. Karis LeVert, number 3.
Shameless plug, full court fam.
Wow.
Coming to you
But
soon.
pulling up soon. Full court fem. Shout out to Mika.
Micaela Perez, remember that name?
And if you get hurt on or off the court, make sure you contact the law offices of Robert M. Perez.
Alonzo, the
Shout out
greatest
to Mika.
Hornet ever.
It's all about the U. Go Gators, go for her. But it's all about the U, and she knows it. So
Man, dude.
Full
So
court fam.
full court fam.
Malawak,
The DJ's in the chat.
these kids getting drafted. It's always incredible.
I love it, man. That
Let's
must be
go
so
Heat. That's
awesome.
right, Isaiah. Yeah, we got a couple people in.
Got
Heat of the universe. Wait,
next
what's
on the board.
Carlos
Portland,
Alfonso.
right?
Regina in the chat. Yo, shout out. The queen of Courtside Cre8ives. Everyone thinks. Hey now.
Wow. Incredible.
Oh, we got this
Yeah,
pig
these
in?
families, man. It's just like life.
Yeah,
changing,
life is forever different. Yeah.
Trajectory of like multiple generations changing in real time. And that's wild. That's why I love. That's why you have to love college sports transitioning into pro. And even with this, like college players getting, I have a different take on this college players getting paid thing because I don't know why we would need to artificially suppress how early a team or a player, a family comes into money. Like, why do we need to suppress that artificially? Why do I need to hold that until 22, 23 when they're done? When there's a point at which they can get paid at 18, 18. Like, Why? This is America. Like
Yeah, for sure.
the European system has figured this out a while ago. They have like these developmental systems. Their families can get paid a bonus early. They can help the family. They can start investing, things like that. I don't know. I'm not a fan of we ruined college athletics. These kids are getting paid. I'm like, no, man. A lot of families are able to start changing earlier.
Money was just going to the coaches and to other people in the program. So it's like now actually going to the kids that actually make the program matter and make people watch. I think back to like imagine if someone like a Tebow was now during the NIL, the amount of like jerseys he sold, the amount of like people that have just lost out on that kind of money is incredible.
Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel would have been like a NIL superstar.
Yeah, 100%. He would have had a Lambo and would have had like all the things going. You saw that Texas Longhorns have like brought their new recruits and they literally have like Lambos parked on the side. It's like kind of crazy. So we are in that weird phase of like it's a little bit too much in my opinion, but I get,
And
that's
the ones that are the biggest ones, the loudest ones get the most attention. But I don't know, offensive guard, the right guard getting paid as well, even though if it's not at the top of the system.
I was
So
a
it
kid. I was like,
I think the Blazers are weird. I don't know who they go for here. I think the two guys on my mind is that you take a swing on someone like Noah Sengue, who's a French player.
Yeah, crazy.
He's very much a project. This guy is.
These guys are just-
I don't think that he
That's
pans
just
out,
like-
in my opinion. He's more of like upside swing. He's athletic, but I don't know if he pans out. Seems like a Blazers guy. If not, it'll probably be like Kasparis, Yakatonis, and they have like another guard that could do some damage and be a combo guy. Oh, so it looks like wow, that's Cedric Howard, who was on my board again.
Yo,
Getting
cross him out. G.
picked 11th overall.
Damn.
Getting
Cross him out.
traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. So
Officially off.
Grizzlies. So what are the terms?
We got a
of that
legend of Dave
Grizzlies?
crossing it off.
The legend.
That's crazy. What did the Grizzlies give up for that? They must have given up their pick plus their the 16th pick plus other stuff, right?
Regina firing messages into the chat.
Regina, like NBA Jam, on fire.
You had Amanda here saying what draft pick today has the highest bust potential and why. I think Noah Sengue is one of those guys, and so is Derek Queen. I just don't know. Those are guys that they were, I guess, great in their level. I just don't know if they translate. Derek Queen has a lot of question marks when it comes to defense and motor. He can score, no doubt about it. And he actually has good touch in terms of passing. But I think Derek Queen is one of those guys where it's high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
I think he could also be really good. I could be 100% wrong. But the way I see him, I just don't know that he's one of those guys very contingent on the system that he gets picked by.
Shout out Amanda and Malia watching from home. So this would have been your best case scenario of a guy that could have fallen to the Heat if he's going this early.
Yeah. This guy.
So we're
rolls
like
over.
you're pie in the sky outcome to have access to this. If you want.
So they get this the pick they have in the first round lower. Yeah, so they get the 2028 first rounder, and then they get 2 seconds. Yeah, I mean they like this guy. They clearly like this guy. But you look at his game tape. This guy's a bucket. The guy is. You can check it out here in his highlight tape. Yeah, it's not a great last name. You're talking about last name. Like Coward isn't a great last name, but he might choose that, man.
D3. Oh,
100%. Just because you know that, yeah.
he went D3.
He played, yeah.
He
Worked his way up to Washington State.
I think I might know his coach, his D3 coach.
Yeah, this kid.
That's crazy.
Also another Doogie.
No, he committed to Duke, but then remained in the draft.
What does
Yeah.
that mean?
And I guess he had committed right before, but then I guess
Oh, I see. Yeah. So like,
he said, screw it.
so the commitment is really an edge because you know you're going to go in the draft. But if it falls apart on you, you have the commitment to do. So I
Yeah,
guess
that's
Duke
what
should
he
be
said.
one.
The Suns won, yeah.
Sheesh.
Let me see.
Extremely controversial.
Controversial.
She's in on it.
Controversial.
She knows. On the streets.
This is StreamYard.
Beat on the streets.
Virginia with a not as jodido. That word is a dynamite drop in.
Oh yeah. So that was the 11th pick. So now we're at the 12th pick. The Bulls here, I think they do take either Noah Senge or Derek Queen. Yeah, I had Sorber going 16 to the Grizzlies. Funny enough, so they traded up to get him. They really wanted him.
What's Marvin? What's your point in this guy outcome here for the Heat?
This is going to be interesting because we're in a spot where we're trying to get better. We're trying to improve to be amongst the elite in the East. Unfortunately, we have to name New York, Indiana, Boston. They're all very good. What steps is this draft pick going to push us to get to that place? And I don't know. I don't
What do you
know.
want?
Right. What would I want?
Yeah.
Honestly, I want them to trade the pick. I don't think a draft pick right now really helps us get over that hump to be elite. I thought this pick would be actually very instrumental in getting Kevin Durant. So again, we take that one step forward. I'm interested. I'm actually super interested because I know Riles and Spo, they always have something up their sleeve when it comes to these picks. So it'll be interesting.
I wouldn't be mad if we trade the pick, but I would like to still pick in this draft, and I would like to trade down if it was up to me. I would trade with the Nets to get one of their late first round picks, like 26 or 27, and get your early second round pick, pick 36, I think it is, and you can get a guard and a wing with both of those. And it's not about contending now, because it's very difficult to get a guy that's going to be a star at that range, but it's about bolstering the roster and continue to build for the long term while still having ready now players. Like the rumors have been Walter Clayton Jr. worked out with the Heat, and that there's been rumblings that he might be a guy. And that's great. He could be a spark plug off the bench and be technically a 6th or 7th man. And you could see that on a team like, look at what the Pacers just did. You have he's not Nembhard. Nembhard's a great defensive menace, but Nembhard could get a bucket and he's not afraid to take the shot. So is TJ McConnell. And you need those guys to come off the bench and do that. But I get to see guys like that doing that. And the point here is that there is value in the later rounds. Like you have Nembhard was drafted 31st overall in the second round. TJ McConnell was undrafted. Yeah, Isaiah Jackson was a 22nd overall pick. And those were guys that two of them were instrumental in the playoff run. Isaiah Jackson got playoff minutes. On the Thunder, you have Aaron Wiggins, who was 55th overall, played instrumental minutes. You had Lou Dort was undrafted. So you got guys that can still get undrafted. The Heat are honestly masterful when it comes to that kind of thing. And you still have Isaiah Joel was also a second-round pick, 49th, and A.J. Mitchell, a favorite of mine, and my buddy Adrian over there, who's sitting on the bench collecting dust, essentially, because they have so many good guards, Cason Wallace and now Tobic coming back, and obviously Shea and guys like that, that I hope he goes to another team where he can show out because that guy has talent. And that guy was selected 38th overall in the second round. So there is value in the late first round, in the early second round, that I think that he could find. Whether that means that person's going to contribute this season or not, obviously that's up for debate. There's still guys that need to show their worth that are currently on the roster and have higher, the Jovic's of the world, the Hawkins of the world. They got to show what you're worth on this roster.
So assuming you couldn't.
Atlanta moved down. Okay, so Atlanta just traded their pick to the Pelicans. So if the Pelicans moved up and they already drafted Fears, then they're probably going to go for a wing or a center. What happened? Derek Queen might be the move here if he's still on there. Yeah, I think Derek Queen or Noah saying it. Yeah, the Bulls got Noah, which I had him going 11 to the Blazers, so now he's going 12th right after.
Not the happiest reaction from the Bulls fan.
There were some guys, some of these guys that were kind of analyzing him, and Coach, maybe you can kind of chime in here. They were saying something that was just like biometric that I didn't realize. They're like, he has high hips, and that's weird, like in terms of his movement and the way, and also with like injury propensity and stuff like that. Which I'm like, I can't speak to that, but I was like, that stood out to me as something that's interesting.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to touch on that,
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching the Hornets draft Knuckle. It's funny saying that.
Yeah.
He doesn't load his hips well. So in order to be a good defender, like you think about Bam, right? Very fluid athletically, can get in a stance and slide his feet and move side to side. When a player has high hips, it's very hard for them to drop and then move laterally. Think about it. The NBA now is like drops and switches. There's no more like hard hedges like where you have to get out. So you have to be able to slide 2 or 3 slides to get out with a guard and then get back to your man or stay on a guard. When you have high hips, it's so hard for you to bend your knee.
yeah,
It's so hard for you to move laterally just because your body just won't allow you.
nuts.
As Carlos Alfonso says in the chat, the hips don't lie.
Yes, the hips, absolutely.
This is why I think this guy.
Shout out to our French friends, Carlos Alfonso. He also said we in there as well. So since the pick came in,
We also had a question about why do we think the UF Gators, they were the champions, but there's no one even in the top 12 getting picked. And it's just the way you're constructed for a college championship is different than from the NBA. And Junior is probably the only guy that will get drafted in the first round there. They have Elijah Mitchell, that's also another prospect that is out there, but probably somewhere in the second round. And then it's kind of like a crapshoot whether anyone else gets drafted at all or goes undrafted. So that just shows you, like, you could have really good guys, and also they had guys that went back. They had some centers that went back, didn't stay declared. So the NIL thing also comes into play. It's a little bit of that. Maybe next season they'll have more guys that are NBA ready and might go in the first and early second round.
It's a different level, man. Everything's faster. Every big is stronger. Everything's just different. It's hard to really explain.
I do think Clay is going to be somewhat of a steal because I expect him to go late first round. And he just knows how to get a bucket and has that clutch gene. Like, it's just hard to teach that.
Right.
Like, that's a guy that if he's off ball and you already have a point guard and you know how to facilitate, and especially if you want to bring him off the bench and be the spark plug, like, he has plenty of room to grow in that role. Now, I don't know how much as a feature guard and as a primary ball handler he'll be able to excel in the NBA, but as that secondary off-ball guard, especially as a sixth man, I think he has a role in the NBA for years to come.
Yeah, for sure. If you're able to, what we call attack or closeout, off a initial action, you'll spend a lot of time in this league. Because think about it, most teams have like one player that's initiating offense, whether you're coming off a pick and roll or whatever. Then the rotation happens. Who's that second guy to get the basketball? Got to be able to shoot it. Got to be able to put it on the deck and make a decision, for somebody else. That's extremely important. I think Clay, he just has such a knack for scoring that you just can't teach. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Tyler Hero coming out of Kentucky. Like, you could just put the ball in his hands and he'll find a way to like get a good look at it or a decent look at it. That's hard to really teach a player.
Bring out some OG legends here. So, this is Atlanta picking for someone else. So Atlanta is picking for New Orleans, and they're going with Derek Queen.
Yeah, a lot of things, brother.
Needed that wig.
I need the hair you have.
Derek Queen. I mean,
Nope.
that team, that New Orleans team is so interesting. Like
It is.
Zion, obviously, still hasn't lived up to the hype, but he has the tools. And there's times when he stretches when he plays, you're like, damn, this guy still has it. They have Trey Murphy Jr., who's playing incredible, and you have Herb Jones, who's really good as well.
Yeah.
So they got like that power forward thing going. They drafted Misi last year, who's a great shot blocker, not really a great scorer, and now they got another scoring big. So I think they got the front court kind of set up. I don't know. Well, they got Fears on the other end now too.
Mhm.
So it's an interesting team.
Yeah, very interesting team, and they have a lot of decisions they have to make going forward.
I don't think that they get to keep both Herb Jones and
Yeah,
Trey Murphy. I think they want to keep Trey Murphy because his contract's incredible for them. And yeah, but Herb Jones is probably the guy that's on the trade block just to make numbers make sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
ooh, is this
Fifth?
fourth or fifth? Something like that.
Fifth? It's like fourth
Yeah.
or fifth year. I think he was entering his fifth.
Yeah.
I think in the next year or two, he's like he's already not lived up to what the hype was out of college. So he has an uphill battle there, but he's shown flashes where you're like, damn, he's still
Yeah.
holy shit. But then he gets hurt again, so it's kind of like it's tough. The off the court stuff has been just creating, headlines that they don't want and he doesn't want. So like, I don't know if New Orleans is the best situation for him long term. I think he could go to another organization that could mold him into like a really incredible player. So Derek Queen getting picked by the Hawks, getting rerouted to the New Orleans Pelicans. Honestly, this seems like good picks for them.
A big, yeah, that's good for them.
For New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think New Orleans, like getting Fears, you got their future guard that they didn't have anymore. Alvarado's a great backup guy who can do the TJ McConnell thing a little bit, maybe a little bit less scoring, but definitely on the defensive side. So now they got that alpha guard, and then next up they got another big to fit into the mold. It's interesting. I think I wouldn't be mad if I was a Pelicans fan, honestly. But I do think I have my questions about Queen in general. I just feel like they are an organization in a position to take a swing like this. Off camera, but you can hear the voice of God.
What an assistant, what an effort. It's probably the video of the night is me getting Junior doing that.
This is now you guys get to chime in on like the Discord chats I have with Adrian of like us going back and forth. We're like, I don't know if this guy's gonna be available there. Like, I don't know what these guys see in this particular player, but these are the conversations we've had. Really since the playoffs began and since the Heat were bounced, we've been kind of like starting to look into that athlete.
Oh wow, that's right. They're back on the clock here.
So next up now are the Spurs, which I had them going then, in which honestly, in hindsight, makes less sense after they went Harper. Almost like they just wanted to.
They did not finish well.
I
Yeah,
don't know who they go here, man.
Wimby without
Caspers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Casper's
yeah,
next to Wait, Carter Bryant is still available.
New head coach.
That's. I
Everyone's
mean,
kind of just learning on fire. They did get De'Aaron Fox though.
to me, getting Carter Bryant here is a steal. At this point, Carter Bryant, any team that picks him at this range, I think is a steal. So, dude went to Arizona. He can score. He can do a little bit of everything. But ESPN has him at third best available, I think. I know Caspers is probably higher ranked, but
Was San Antonio ever real in the KD stuff?
I think that they didn't want to because they didn't want to accelerate to a win now timeline with Wemby. Like they're more willing to develop talent and build a long-term winner than like you bring in KD and it's like you need to win now, right? So they just didn't want to do. And I think it's good to keep their draft capital and to still foster that youthful talent. There's still guys on that roster I don't really like. I don't think Keldon Johnson's a good solution there long term. Vassell's good, but I don't know. I feel like they could probably find better solutions there. Yeah, they got some guys on that roster that I think are replaceable, but they also have guys Wemby, Fox, and now Stephon Castle, and then now adding Harper to the mix. Like there's some solid guys. On paper,
they got some players.
On paper, right?
They
gotta put it together. And so that's definitely a staple. That's a guy.
Yeah.
If he's your fourth or fifth guy, great. That guy, he gets rebounds. He does a little bit of everything.
Looks like you got a new chat, right?
Another fix in. I don't know what they're gonna do here, to be honest. Carter Bryant. Yeah.
Carter Bryant.
I know we.
He's got heat in the chat.
But
He's saying.
I'm just gonna want to believe with you. There's a slight chance it might be on this end as well. Got a lot of people locked into draft updates and watching the draft as well.
That's great.
King's Cats, he is a regular on El Big League Show, so shout out to him for following us on our other endeavors.
Appreciate
here.
it
Very much.
Thank you. Did you finally?
No, I haven't. I gotta familiarize myself with these contests. I'll get you on next El Big League Show.
Yeah, another chat there.
Be a point of contention here.
So next up on the board. So that was the Spurs. So the NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder pick 15, which was the Heat pick.
Did they get Clifford here?
The two picks I have, they're going either Thomas Sorber or they're going Nick Clifford here. Nick Clifford just because he's plug and play, and if they really want that, they could get that. Or they just take a swing on a guy that they're not going to touch for 2 years. Behringer is also Behringer.
They like their weirdos, man. They like the weird. Like let me
they
take
might
5
just
years
take a
to
swing
build
here
it,
because
man.
they don't need it. This is like definitely they could reach here just because
Yeah, just because they can.
they can. Now,
What a luxury!
yeah, it's a massive
what a luxury.
crazy.
There's
They
no
also
pressure.
pick again later on, by the way, right?
There's no pressure on this
They also
pick.
pick again
at all.
with the 30th pick, right?
You can have somebody's kid pick it.
Yeah, you can bring it. Celebrity pick.
Impressive child, just like I like this name.
Nick Collison. They got Nick Collison now working for the team, so he won his first chip with the team after being drafted and being there and getting his jersey retired. It's an awesome story. I feel like they should just bring him on just to pick it. But yeah, this is a great pick for the Spurs. Honestly, I'm excited to see them. The West is still crazy, so I don't know what it means for the short term, but the long term they look good.
Can't go wrong here. OKC.
Rusty's plugging a trade down here.
I want Miami, for some reason, in my book, does a good job of picking late round players. Like Ware dropped to us, and we picked them and had a pretty damn good season. And Bam and Hero are also like they were lottery, but they weren't top 10, and they found ways to. They were high on Ware, and that was a guy that we were kind of like on the fence because of his motor, and he was getting pushed around by bigger centers and stuff. He saw the vision, he saw the role,
which did happen.
He does. No,
He was getting pushed.
he still does get pushed. You get a Valanciunas, you get a Vucevic, you get any big dude. Yeah, they push him around, but guess what? get him in a system
Oh.
and go down the weight room and
Oh.
pack on 15, 20 pounds. And in reality, you don't need him to be the paint. You don't need him to be Alonzo Mourning. So they want him to play. Yeah, they
sure.
want him to block shots. They want him to rebound. They want him to stretch the floor and shoot some long range shots. So I think he fits that mold.
I think so. I think he has all the potential.
I think so, and he seems very humble, and he seems very willing to like work on his craft and fit whatever role the Miami Heat put him in. And so he just, to me, it seems like he at least came in with the right mentality and did the right things to have a good first year as a center. That a lot of people say that I feel like he was in the top 5 running for Rookie of the Year, which is like for a 15th pick. That's kind of a good value. They obviously like Bam and Hero, and then I would say Ware is one of those guys now that they value a lot. And then there's a lot of other guys that are on the fence. They still have hope for Jovic to make a name for himself and find a role. I don't know if they know how to use him. That is the biggest question mark. He is very much a European-style guard, a Serbian guard, that he might be better in another team. But if the Heat find a way to use him, I feel like, sadly, he might leave and then be great somewhere else. But I feel like hopefully we find a way to use him while he's on our roster. So, and then
So you're telling me we don't have a way to use this guy? He's holding up a KD trade?
no, we do. We haven't found a way to use him. Especially last year, he also got hurt at an opportune time, which would have given him a lot of opportunity to really show out. Like that injury kind of like threw him off, the deep end. And so when he came back in, there wasn't much time for him to like recoup those minutes in that time. So I'm more looking forward to, and I wanted to touch base on this. No, what I'm looking forward to too is talking about second and third year players that already were drafted and have the likelihood of having improvement. And I think last year we saw the sophomore slump from Jaime Jaquez, and a lot of teams look at the game tape and they found a way to figure out what he was doing. He was going to go to the basket. He was going to either take it with his head down, and they sealed off, the lane, and they also knew how to cut off his passing lane, so he was not able to facilitate in that way. And they knew that his three-point shooting wasn't consistent, so they allowed him to shoot from three, and he didn't hit it at a high clip. So to me, it's him having to find a way to counter the counter. And so if he fixes his three-point shooting, if he continues to do the more off-ball things like finding his way to get under the basket or rim running and finding ways to get in the right position to get a rebound or a putback, he will find a way to have a roster spot on this team. I think he will rebound. So I think that he has an opportunity to make a name for himself in year 3. And we've been working with Brinkley, which is a really well-known trainer in the NBA. He worked for Jimmy. He worked with a lot of guys on his shooting. So I think that if he's able to get in that 35, 37% three-point shooting range, if he's averaging anywhere in the 14 to 16 points per game, and those two stats alone for me already make it feel like he could be a staple and have rebound for having a sophomore slump. So I think that's really what I'm looking forward to, specifically on the Heat rosters. There's other guys outside and other that are entering their sophomore, junior years that I think have opportunities to either they didn't minutes, like a Reed Shepherd on the Houston Rockets. That guy was looked at as the best shooter in that class. He barely got any playing time for the Rockets. And now maybe he gets some playing time or not. But those are guys that are sitting on the bench on other teams that just haven't had the right opportunity or just faltered that opportunity. And I think those are interesting conversations to have. People forget, like we're talking about today's draft and the guys coming now. Like, forget about the guys who were drafted last year and the year before that have that chance to like really.
Thomas Sorber goes to the Thunder here.
Sorber, that's who I had on my list. Sorber at 15, and he's a project as well. I don't really like too much of the way he moves, but he knows how to rebound. He's really more of a traditional big, a Georgetown big.
He's that Hartenstein, like
a little bit of Hartenstein in him. I think they're going to position him to be a Hartenstein replacement because I don't think they can pay Hardenstein what he's worth after this coming season unless he takes a deal. But this kid definitely on the right system, like OKC, they're not going to expect much from him. He'll be a backup big. There won't be a lot of pressure on him, so I think it's a good role for him to step into.
I just want to know where you got that jacket.
That jacket's crazy.
That jacket is unbelievable. I want to wear it.
Then you rolled around in blue and went to Michael's. And put some glitter on it.
It looks like it's like a filter over the video.
Look at that. Look at that thing.
You rolled around in the glitter from Michael's. That's amazing. That's so good, man.
Yeah. He's gonna be great. Yeah. Well, what about the jacket?
The jacket.
Is that isn't that a Michael Jackson music video too? That is straight glitter in a very early one, like Rock With You or something?
Yes.
All right, so the Grizzlies don't have this pick because they traded with. Who did they trade with? Atlanta, or? Yeah,
Memphis
who did the Grizzlies
traded
trade with?
Portland.
Portland. So Portland is picking now, no?
I think so.
You know what when they show like, okay, at this pick, who has been a good NBA player, an impactful player at this pick? Because it shows that there's always
somebody
in this spots in the draft to be like an impactful player. In the baseball draft, it happens all the time. So like, I don't know, they just showed Jimmy Butler earlier in one of the picks that was selected. So it's like, as much as I could say, like, all right, like the picking for the future or kicking it to the future might make some sense. Like, that there's going to be a guy that gets selected after the Heat's pick that turns out to be like a NBA player.
Yeah.
Who can find that? Like,
Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf is one of those guys from Michigan. This dude is like a freak because he doesn't look athletic, but he has a little bit of Jokic in him that he could make passes that you don't expect from a 7-footer. He doesn't, like not traditional athletic, but he can get rebounds, almost like a Kevin Love. I would say like he has that on the highest upside is like a Kevin Love with glimpses of a Jokic in passing, and he could shoot threes. The thing is, I don't know if the Heat want to go the double big route and they get Ware and Wolf. It sounds amazing, honestly. Yeah, they get the werewolf. But I just don't know if they go. Yeah.
Shout out Michael Diamante. He would be excited to have a werewolf dynamic duo. Shout out E. Reed. He would love to have a werewolf dynamic duo. Yeah. That is a broadcaster and announcer's dream to have a pairing.
Carlo, who do you want to pick?
I think Nick Clifford's coming off the board too.
He's the biggest Marlins fan of all the people in the draft.
Carlo.
No, I mean
The legend.
Getting-
That's a
yeah,
qualification. Whoever's the biggest Marlins fan.
Whoever wore a Marlins cap at some point in their life.
do a deep dive into the Instagram, see all their swag. Yeah, there you go.
Trade with the Nets or something like that in the late 20s. You'll pick them, I think.
She was rooting for Walter.
Yeah, early on, yeah.
And
going to UF. We got a lot of UF people in the chat. Yeah.
So for the basketball guys here, how has the Luka trade aged now that they're picking? Do they get bailed out by this?
It hasn't aged well. Hasn't aged yet.
You make it, like right now, you got to make a call.
Luka's going to come back next season and truly have a full season with the Lakers. So I think that's really what you get deciding when it ages. Now you're saying the Mavs getting Cooper Flag as a result. That's like the most miracle thing you can ask for.
They had like a low percentage from that,
1.8%.
That's what 2%. You got to build up.
And also, I think Luka this season was hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll ever come out and say it, but you can just see how he's moving out on the floor. That he is not 100%. So a long off season for him, so he can get healthy. A lot of people have been throwing dirt on his name for some reason.
No.
I still think he's top 5 in the NBA when healthy, and I think he'll be on that type of time, like when he comes back.
He looks like he's working on it, slimming down too. So it's like all the Mavericks did a terrible job.
Can we talk about that? Like conditioning, you cannot be a top 5 player in the National Basketball Association and be out of shape. It's impossible.
It's factual. But
It's literally
you got a Serbian and a Slovenian, one named Luka Doncic, the other one named Jokic. That like traditionally, you look at them, you're like, these guys aren't in peak shape, but they are playing in peak form when they're on the court. So it's the weird. It's almost like a European thing that is just weird. It's different. But traditionally, I 100% agree with you.
For sure.
And even for Luka, like if you're right that he was hurt, it probably was a conditioning issue, and you avoid those things by being in better shape.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not to say that he's bad because he's out of shape. It's because he could be better when he's in shape.
Yeah, no doubt. I just feel like people just look at him and just because he doesn't look like 96 Sean Kemp, and they think he's
correct,
not in shape. It's impossible.
Yeah,
the amount of defensive attention that he gets every single night, he gets every best defender's best shot, and still averages over 30 is unbelievable. He's got to be in good shape. Now, could it be at another level? Absolutely. And being with LeBron will also help that. Seeing that guy day in and day out.
What I'm always fascinated by with that type of player is that they slow the game down to their pace.
Yeah.
It's the game has sped up, and maybe Jokic and Doncic have just done like the opposite. They're like,
this is looking like the Blazers are gonna pick up Yang at this pick.
They're gonna trade. They're gonna actually pick up here.
They're gonna pick him here. It looks like.
It's in Yang out of China, which is like the next couple of Yao Ming. Their eyes was looked at as like a mid second round pick, second round prospect. If he gets selected here, that is the reach of this draft. Maybe they look like geniuses. It works out, but
they really like their weird big guys. Edie, Yang.
Yeah, and he has a little bit of Zach Edey in him. He's not like the most agile, athletic guy, but for what he does, impressive.
I want to go back to the Europeans for a second.
Yeah.
So something that I have realized, you guys are talking about strength and conditioning and them getting in better shape and stuff like that. They don't value the game as much to make that such an importance as they do their entire life and like just the existence of life and everything off the court. So they kind of like do their strength and conditioning, just like doing hard work, blue collar work at home. Like Jokic always wants to get back to his horses, and I can't think back at a European player that you're like, that guy's jacked. That guy has the greatest strength and conditioning I've ever seen, because they put value in other things outside of the game. Where we're here like saying, he's got to have his creatine and cut down and this body percent. And it's like, I leave course. Really I make baskets. I do good. Like
Hanson Yang getting selected at this point.
Realize that
crazy. I mean, the closest person.
Wow. They have a scout over here that.
Eddie.
Andre Kirilenko was one guy that was
the head coach.
AK-47, man.
He was
Utah Jazz.
He was skinny, dude.
Nikola Pekovic.
Oof. He's a mob boss now. That's a rumor out there, but
yeah.
Allegedly.
Martin Gortat.
Gortat was definitely in shape.
Yes, exactly.
Running in the snow.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Hanson Yang here is wild. Here we go. So
I definitely. I know he wore like a big brace.
He's a shot blocker.
Yeah.
The pick is in.
Oh man.
The pick is in.
Love Goran, man.
What's going on here, man? Danilovic.
Nihama.
Ray Drag Danilovic. How did I not remember this?
Sasha Danilovic.
Has not played in the NBA. Did he ever play for the NBA?
Yeah, he played for us.
Sasha Danilovic.
Wow, man. College, Serbia.
Brother. Zora.
Hold on.
That is Zora. The Zoran to his Goran?
Damn. This is legendary right here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his first name is Drag, but like his nickname is Sasha.
So,
Yeah.
Wang Juju. Shout out.
Wang
We gotta
Juju.
shout out Wang Juju.
Shout out to
He's a
Uptown
legend.
Dale. Uptown Dale has a signed Wang Juju jersey
Yeah.
framed at the crib.
No way.
Shout out. Deep
I've never seen it.
The big 7-7 Wang Juju.
Wang Juju. Man.
With that lefty stroke, man.
All right, so look, we got now with the 17th pick is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are still in contention now mode with Ant Edwards, Gobert, and the guys they got. I think they will be Clifford here just because he's a plug and play guy. It's hard to.
Yeah, this is a good spot for Nick Clifford because last year's 2024 pick was Dalton Connect. It seems like the old guys get picked right outside the lottery. This is probably
Correct.
a good
Yeah.
spot.
This is definitely a spot for a guy that's a little bit on the older side. Clifford does a little bit of everything, man. Dude averaged almost 19 points a game and almost 10 rebounds for a 6'6" guard forward. He took Colorado State to the Mountain West Championship, I think, he's going. He has a lot of things in his bag. He's like just a guy that you know you don't even have to coach up that much, and he can probably any team that picks him can find a way to use him. So I think that that's a move here. Could be wrong, but let's see.
A-Rod in the draft.
A-Rod, new officially sold to ownership group that includes came out from the hood from Kendall. You know,
The mean streets.
the main street of Kendall. The pick is in. Yeah, but look, so if the pick is in, then they know exactly. I mean,
I think for Minnesota,
would-
you really have to get someone to help with ball handling responsibilities.
well, they need a point guard too. Because I think
No, Behringer.
They went
I like
Behringer.
this guy.
also they went French and French.
Yep.
So they got Gobert and they got Behringer.
They went
Damn,
wee
that
with
is,
it.
that's another relative reach.
Shout out Monsieur Carlos Alfonso.
Wow.
They went wee with it.
So we got man.
That's interesting.
So we got two guys that I like for the Heat that are in range that I don't know if they'll fall, but Clifford and Fleming are on the board right now, and they're still the 18th and 19th pick before us. So, yeah, in that order, I think
World, man.
it's honestly, they go either Fleming or Clifford. If they're available, I'm fine. Clifford is more plug and play right now. Rasheer Fleming, he's also a guy that the Heat will find a way to use. This dude is 6'9" with a 7'5" wingspan. He can rebound. He can block. He shot 3-pointers at 41% this past season.
Yeah.
So he's 53% from the field. So I think that
So where's this guy?
I'm happy with where we're at right now.
Understood,
I'm happy
but,
with
like,
the Heat
professional
keeping the pick,
friends?
and if they do what they got to do, and those guys are available and they're not selected, yeah. But I mean, you still got the Wizards. I think the Wizards or the Nets pick one of those two. I don't think that they're both available. I would be shocked if they're both available.
I got to mention it again. Great depth. What pick is this? 16, 17? Great
17.
depth. Consistent depth from the first pick. I mean, I really can't go back past David Stern. I don't have that knowledge.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Goodell's grown into the depths. Though he's grown into the depths. He was a handshake. He was a firm handshake guy. Welcome to the league. Great, but he's grown into the depths, which shot out, and Goodell's evolved a lot with everything. Shout out to Souls by Sir. He does the initiative tweets, and he did shoes for Roger Goodell. He bought into everything. It's gotten to that point, so it's incredible. But I would say Adam Silver, top commissioner, dapper. I don't know what they do in the Euro Cup League or Premier League or something like that. football.
Number one in the DAP power
But
rankings.
yeah, and Roby Ramos approved, I would say.
Those-
Bobby Rambo's
Yeah,
approved.
shout out to
Bobby
Robbie Ramos, also known as Bobby Rambo,
Robbie,
also known as the playwright behind Las Paredes Oyen, happening right now. Morocco, shout out.
Get
Gotta
your
plug
tickets. LasParedesWilliams.com.
Yeah,
Get your tickets.
runs through January 6th, July 6th. July 6th.
July.
Wishful thinking.
July 6th.
It might extend though. Who knows?
Robbie?
Depends if he's wearing the hat or not. Hat or no hat. It's Roby or Robbie. Mr. Ramos. Ramos. Ramos.
Ramos.
En Gabriel José Bonilla.
yeah.
En el capitán de las gorras y los sombreros, Ambrosio Hernández. What a time. So, Adrian, let's cross-pollinate here in sports real quick. How different is this draft experience versus the LP draft experience for the players and all of that? Like, are there any parallels, any similarities with what you see? Because typically we don't see MLB draft here on MLB Network. NFL draft and NBA draft, I believe, get broadcast at ESPN, NHL, Deep Cut Only as well, NHL Network. So, is any similarities here? Like, what's the vibe like? You've been around for a while in that, so what do you think?
Good question, first of all. But I guess the answer is that the NBA draft and the NFL draft are way closer to immediate impact when you're selecting a player, so you can actually visualize what he's going to be for your now club or your 2 to 3 years out club. Whereas Major League Baseball is actually going through something right now where like 5 or 6 guys are already making the major league from just last year's draft alone. So like the bridge between college and pros is closing quite a bit. Like college is getting so good that players are able to slot in from baseball into high A, double A, whereas before they would go more gradually like rookie ball, A ball, high A. So they're cutting out a couple of years because of how good the college development is. So it's closing, but that's still the rarity. The arc for a minor league player still averages between 5 and 6 years before you arrive to play meaningful big league baseball. Whereas most of these guys, it feels like unless you're headed to the G League feels more immediate contribution than a player getting drafted. Especially if you draft a high school player out of the major league draft, which can be done here. You're expecting this 5-year out window. He might surprise you and get there in 3, but it's more rare. So I feel like you're selecting somebody now that you can manage your active big league roster or big league NBA lineup right now with the draft, whereas you can't really count on that, save for like the elite players of the MLB draft. Very rarely are you going to select a player in the MLB draft. Even Paul Stevens, the Pirates aren't selecting him for him to go play now in August, even though we're selecting him in July. So the gap between when they make their impact feels distant, although that's closing. Like I said, Cam Smith, Chase Burns just made his debut getting drafted last year as well. Paul Skeens got there quick as well. But even for a baseball player getting there fast still is a longer arc than what we're accustomed to seeing. Like Cooper Flag, you're going to see him play NBA minutes immediately in the starting rotation. I feel like that kind of stuff doesn't happen on the baseball side of things, even though we're getting a little bit closer to that.
Rounds and all that.
Yeah. Sure.
Basketball, we got 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be draft.
20 rounds. 22 rounds, really, if you compensatory pick rounds. Used to be 50. Used to be 50 rounds.
That's wild.
Used to be, then it got down to 40. Then in COVID, we did 5. And then we're back to 20. But like after the second round, even in the second round, you're crap shooting. But what happens in the big league draft, I feel like doesn't happen as much here. You'll see guys from the 3rd, 5th, 8th round, 12th round be like legit big leaguers all the time. Whereas this feels like it's more rare that a guy like Khalil Ware goes out and becomes an impactful NBA guy or an NBA player. So
we got the pick is in for the Washington Wizards. Are they going to keep it is a question, and who they go with here. I feel like they might take a swing at something out of their range because
I'm thinking it might be Walter.
wow,
It might be Walter Clayton Jr. here.
if they take Walt Clayton Jr. here, that's like higher than most people had him. They have him. They're there looking at the camera.
I think it's why they're jumping in here.
Everybody got my hair.
That's wild.
We all went to the same
Maybe it's really him. That's well. There, hey, for the people in the chat watching from UF, if this guy gets drafted, I mean that's incredible for him because he was projected in the early to late 20 range. So, and he's going to have some quality vets. I mean, look at this guy used to play football. Incredible. He could find it. Yeah, he was
He's
able
going
to
to
find
Utah.
some shots,
Dang,
man,
bad.
with just very small seams. Like he knew how to get a shot off with very little room.
Ian's Cats, he brings up a good one, is signability. For in MLB, it's a good question because a player getting drafted and a player signing, those aren't necessarily the same thing. I wonder if it's more automatic. Our team's doing more math in the draft room to make sure you can, are there draft pools? Are there amounts of money that you can spend on the NBA draft? In baseball, you have a total draft pool. And if you can blow it out on your first pick, then you got to be more economical throughout the rest of the draft, or save money with your first selection, and then put more like a second pick or a third pick.
There's a rookie scale, right? For every pick, all the way down to the 30th, it's guaranteed. Once you get into the second round, it's non-guaranteed, and then once you get into like the mid-second round, then it's like two-way contracts. Well, two-way meaning that they partially play in the NBA, partially play in the league affiliate. So that's kind of like the way that it operates. But like, if you're drafted in the first round, you have a guaranteed contract. Unless I'm missing something, I don't know if there's information that I haven't been known. But when you get picked and they sign you, it's a guaranteed contract.
How often are guys getting picked and not signing? Does that happen?
Rare.
No.
Rare. Usually they trade with.
It does happen in baseball with high school players.
So,
High
like-
school players just like them.
Yeah.
They'll go to committed to like Vanderbilt or some SEC school, and they'll make the bet that they'll get more money after 2 or 3 years of college when they get drafted. Whereas it doesn't feel like that's happening. You know where you're picking, you're probably going to get it.
Yeah, usually in the NBA, the only way
It looks like they
kind
did
of push
like
themselves
Walter
to like
Clayton.
teams. Like the guy who got drafted, the Utah didn't want to go. What they'll do is like not work out for the team. Like that's their player agency, but at the end of the day, like when they get picked, they usually just.
Yeah.
This is good for them.
Walter Clayton Jr. did get selected by the Wizards.
Good for him, man.
It's good for him. He gets to learn from CJ McCollum,
Yeah.
from Chris Middleton, from quality vets of what to do. I think the Wizards are doing the right thing here. I didn't expect them to pick him at this position, but it does make sense. And he is like a underrated player, honestly. Like, just won a national championship.
Yeah.
He was the primary scorer on that team. I think, and he also came from Iona. He came from a situation where you just didn't expect him to succeed.
I think you hit it right there. One thing he's going to bring to his team is he's a winner.
He's a winner.
He's a winner, and Washington hasn't had one in a long time. So this is going to be interesting. He'll have free range to grow. He'll learn from CJ, and I'm really interested in this because I think he can have a very, very productive career here.
Some more stats on the NIL stuff. So between the 30th pick, which is guaranteed like $2.7 million, and the 31st pick, which is guaranteed there's non-guaranteed, but $1.1 million. That's a drop off of like $1.6 million, and also non-guaranteed. So it's like that's why you start seeing players that are on the fence and they don't know if they're going to go in the first round, that they tend to go back because a lot of these NIL contracts, if you're a premier player, you're getting paid $2+ million.
What's the mechanism there? Do you remove yourself from the draft beforehand, or are you actively saying, "Don't pick me here"?
There's a threshold where they say like can declare and then you can withdraw. So there is a date, and we saw a lot of it happen. There was a lot of guys with incredible names, LeBaron Philon being one of them from Alabama, that went back. A lot of guys that I had looked at. So it is an interesting new reality, right? Like starters in the Power Four are ranging in like 1.1 million to like now 6 million. Like the fact that you had a Yale transfer and go to the transfer portal and go to UF now and make $6 million, that's crazy.
Is he going to Utah?
Did they reroute him?
Is this proposed trade to Utah? See at the bottom?
Oh boy.
Did not see that.
What's crazy to me is that it feels like that money before was going somewhere.
Oh,
It's
so
not
he's
that
going to Utah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's going to Utah.
Also, it's a different situation.
Ooh.
It's a different.
Yeah, Washington traded the pick to Utah.
Ah,
So then they received. I said it. You guys are here talking about the Marlins.
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. Yeah. So it's going to the Jazz. That's interesting. So what did they get in return for him?
Oh, they moved not that. They didn't give up that much. They swapped picks. So they're back at 21 and a couple of second rounders to move up. That's all they did. They didn't cost them anything really.
So you got the. So there's still the two guys I like. Rasheer Fleming and Nick Clifford are on the board. One of them's going to be available after the Nets pick.
I want Danny Wolf. But that's just me.
Danny Wolf is one of those wild ones. I would. That's like if like Kevin Love is like, yo,
I'm gonna
draft
blow
my
up the mic
protege.
if that happens. I'm gonna clip the mic if it's Danny Wolf. I'm telling you now.
I don't know, but this baby's the star of the draft. Right?
Yeah, that's good.
Getting the most TV time of everybody in the draft.
Yeah,
Pick is in.
the pick is in by the Nets.
Sounds like I got the heat already.
It does. I can hear that on
I
the
don't know why.
Rasheer Fleming.
Yeah.
3.
So I don't know who the Nets go with. I don't think they go Nick Clifford though. I think both of these guys might be. They either go Fleming or they go Asa Newell. Asa Newell would be the only other option. Yo, Caspers hasn't been picked. That's a big drop off. He's gonna be one that's value at this range.
They already got their playmaker right here. Well, Igor Demon. So this is gonna be a big.
Yeah. I think it's Asa Newell then.
Adrian, who are you holding out hope for?
Yeah,
Do you want to trade the pick?
You want that? Well,
I
you
want,
still,
the Heat, I want the Heat to get Danny Wolf. That's all. That's like
Just because of the werewolf thing?
it's because he's like American Jokic.
I mean, Danny Wolf, you could probably still get him in the late first round. So like, if the Heat were to do some shit, you can
Well,
still get him.
They already and that's already did a weird
We don't have
pick.
a
So I don't know
second
what this is gonna be.
But today's only the first round.
Pressing N live after
Go back no matter what.
called me.
He called me.
That's why he's trying. Guys, breaking news. I feel bad. He sent me a text right after. You didn't pick up, and you're making me look like a B star on ESPN. Bro. Sorry, brother. Hey, shout out to Utah. Have fun, man. We'll see you at Sundance for Dream Chasers premiere.
The pick is in for the Nets.
More picks for us.
And David,
David,
I guess the only question here for Brooklyn is where Brooklyn at with their pick.
They went Traore. Damn. So they skipped. So I have Nick Clifford and Fleming. Wow, Traore did get picked. This was the third option after.
Smooch on Cam.
No.
Wow. So Traore was like a good, shifty, fast first step. Probably the fastest guard in the draft class. We.
Oh, number 3. We.
No long.
But this goes back to the NIL thing. With the players going back,
Looking like
international
La
players,
French ball over there. Looking like another ball brother. Wee ball. La French ball.
was watching that Netflix doc. Was it Path to Glory?
You keep saying that. Court of Gold.
Yeah, why do I keep saying Path to Glory?
We got to find out. Is that the documentary that we're going to be making, I guess?
French team ends up short. You know? They just had 3 guys go
Probably.
first. Those guys got to be on that team.
Adrian, most French players to go in the first top 20 picks, perhaps?
I think it was last year, right?
Last year was.
I think last year was one of the. It might have been. I looked at it. Yeah, I look at it now.
We're like at 3 right now. That's crazy.
What is it about France? Like why France versus some of these other countries that's like emerging?
Well, the competition level over there for some reason is considered higher tier, and let's say even a Germany. Like there's been players that have been looked at as first round picks that are on German teams, like a Ben Serif, a Noah Senge, but they see the quality of play in that league specifically isn't as high as like France. And he played on the French national team. I don't know if it was like the under 19 team or whatnot, but it already has, that tier of talent. So yeah, you got the third French guy, and then you had Wemby, and you had, this guy from the Timberwolves. No, I'm trying to blank.
Gobert.
Yeah. And so
Isn't Sarr for too?
Sarr
Yeah.
and Risa Shea.
Ricochet, yeah. Thibault.
And obviously Batum. Fourth quarter.
Telling character.
Why the hell Batum in, man?
Man.
Getting into everybody.
Hey,
So
Miami pick. They have them in the war room clapping.
The Heat are happy with who they're picking, guys.
Fournier? Yeah.
Fournier is also.
That's Brooklyn, right?
Oh, that was Brooklyn. You're right.
Cool logo. Look at that logo. Look at that.
Are these guys getting some? Are they playing actively for a French professional team, or are they playing in the French collegiate league?
No. Professional.
They're playing in the professional.
Yeah, they're playing professionally.
That's my point. We can't act like the Timber Butler thing didn't just happen.
It just happened.
It just happened.
But that's the whole thing, though. It happened mid-season. It was forced upon us.
Damn it, Jimmy. You do us like
Let's
Here we
see
go.
who Miami picks.
Here we go.
the weak draft room. Sorry, guys.
Well, to the practice.
No, we don't know yet. We don't know.
The practice. All right, dude. Dude, Pat Riley just fucking dunked a window in the back.
Adam Simon.
What?
Don't doubt Adam Simon with Richard Fleming and Nick Clifford on the board. I mean, Ben Serif is probably the third option. If they go Danny Wolf, that's an outlier, but I'm thinking one of those two, Fleming or Clifford.
I just know it's gonna be a good one. Man.
I want them to pick a human being, not
This is
trade
the
the
one.
pick. So
Yes. I mean, Fleming sounds like a great.
Pick is in.
Pick is in.
It's official.
Wow.
Pick is in.
You go with the guy who's 6'9", 7'5" wingspan, who can block shots and also like take some pressure off Bam, switch everything kind of guy.
Yeah, we need another wing that's productive.
Yeah.
We need another wing that's productive. Shout out Haywood, he's terrific, but
Haywood, yeah.
we need more of that.
And he did a little bit of that with more length.
Yeah.
Like shooting threes at 39% is no joke for a big man. Oh, you got Shams here. Come on, Shams. Don't. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Also need a starting one.
Yes. But that's why I kind of wanted us to trade into the second round and get another guy.
Unless they're still high on Rozier coming back and being productive. Look, I mean,
Boy, last year was so the bar is low, so I guess he could play better than last year.
Slim, the Buster only.
I'm very interested to see where they go with this.
I mean,
That's not Coral Gables. You guys see that? It says Coral Gables.
Coral Gables?
Oh, they're in South Beach, guys. Come on, figure it out.
Crushing.
That's,
Everybody knows.
it's like A solid 15 miles away.
Taking their talents to Hialeah Gardens.
Yes, it's in downtown Miami.
They could have said this game anything. They would have got it right.
Coral
Live from Kendall Hammocks.
This game Bay, this game area, this game.
Yeah, live from
Maybe. Yeah,
They just said Brickell Key. It would have been close.
live from Miami Shores.
Look at
Live from
They could have said Hialeah. And it
yeah,
would
they
have
could have said Hialeah Gardens,
Right
man.
now, we're coming to you live from the Wynwood Arts District, so
All right, the pick is in, guys.
Gaspa.
We picked Casper's? Wow. Didn't see that, but I also didn't see him dropping this low. That's not bad. That's a guard.
They need a playmaker.
They need a playmaker.
He's the best one on the board.
rock the cast for us.
Yeah,
Rock the
Cochones.
Cactus is really good.
Rock the cast for us. What?
That's good.
That says Illinois, but where are we really?
Miami Heat.
You
Miami
don't
Heat.
think
Take
that's
that.
an Illinois name?
So Dragic is definitely going to come back and be a part of the player developmental team.
Where's he from?
He shouldn't have dropped this low. So,
Lithuania.
oh yeah, I had him. I had him
Lithuania.
probably.
Lithuania.
I had him going 13th by way of
Me
Illinois.
too. Adam 13.
Vilnius,
13th.
Lithuania.
The Hawks.
66205.
So yeah, dropping a 20 is
Played
incredible.
professionally
We have so many
in
skilled white
España.
guys. It's crazy.
España.
He's
In
a
Barcelona.
quality guy. I wasn't high on him, but
At
This-
20,
at 20 is
Played Lithuania. Lithuania. Played in España. He is from Lithuania, and now he played for the Miami Heat. The Heat.
Barcelona. So
And yes, Miami Heat.
the Heat
You
got
can
the
take it.
guard.
Rock the cast for us.
Rock the Caspas.
Rock the cast.
yeah.
He's a
Casper
combo
is the
guard.
friendly ghost.
He's
so
better.
not
He's honestly,
score.
in my opinion, better than Traore and Serif, which were the other guards that I had on my
Yeah.
team. So, like this, I'm
So
saying
what is
this
it,
guy was a lottery
Jakob
pick. This guy was supposed to be a lottery pick, and he dropped because all the other guards that they wanted got selected, and then they started going heavier on the.
Oh,
No,
okay.
the kid can make plays.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
And he-
on his last name?
Yeah, I was
Yakuchonis.
just about to say. I was just about to say that every clip that they showed, he finished going right.
I'm also going to say this. I said for Miami Heat, and I'm going to say for the Miami Heat fans, the Cubanos out here. David, pronunciation one more time, last name?
Yakuchonis.
Okay, Yacojones. Okay.
Yacojones.
Yacojones.
We got Yacojones.
Yacojones.
Oh,
Tiene tremendo Yacojones. ¿Viste el juego de Yacojones? like Pedro Serrano, he have no marbles. Like that. Yacojones. We got our guy. We got our guy.
We got a better
We
player
got our
than
guy.
expected, honestly.
In 5 minutes, we trade.
Damn it.
We gave our entire marketing thing to them.
So you still got the Jazz picking, and then Hawks, Pelicans, and the Thunder pick again at 24. And then the Magic, followed by 2 picks by the Nets.
well,
I think you got centers coming up.
I
There's
just-
some other
Was it
centers.
you that said it?
just wanted to talk
No,
about
more picks
the
than
pick.
Thunder?
Yeah, that's
I'm
You said it earlier?
for him.
It's been forever.
He's going to get thrown to the wolves.
Ooh.
Davion, Terry. I know Drew's coming back from injury, but those are 3 tough guards that you got to compete against
Sure.
every day. So it's going to be trial by fire
good.
for him. No pun intended for the Heat, but he's going to learn quickly like how to compete in this league if there's any questions about that. Especially being tough. I like his frame, 6'3.5". All right, a bigger guard, has some length to him.
They said it was like 6'5".
6'5".
Yeah.
Man, that's perfect. And a guard that can see over the top of defenses and be able to read and react. feel it.
6'2" was his listing.
I think it's like 6'5" without shoes and 6'6" with shoes.
Okay, so that's a big guard.
Yeah,
That's a large
goes-
guard. I mean, we saw bigger guards in the finals. Tyrese Halliburton
got
is
it for
like
us.
6'5", 6'6".
And Shea,
Shay's around the
which
same.
is why
area.
for a while they kept on saying Jace Richardson was like a Heat
Because
guy.
getting her
Like,
Utah jersey, though.
he was first of all measured before the combine at 6'3", and then his combine measurements came in, he was 6, and I was like, man, we don't need another undersized guard.
Yeah,
So the fact that they went for a bigger guard, that's why I thought Serif was also he's 6'6", and Traore 6'4", is like in that middle range. So this guy being in that 6'5", 6'6" range makes sense.
that's perfect for us. And the way we play defense, we definitely needed that point of attack defender that we just haven't had in a long time. Obviously, Davion is good at what he does. He's going to hound guards 94 feet up the floor, but
Yeah.
we need someone who can continue to do that consistently as well as distribute for our team. I think we saw this year, there's no disrespect to Tyler and Bam, but they need someone to set the
They need a
table.
facilitator,
Need it.
no doubt.
So I'm very intrigued by this pick. Yeah.
Larson's probably going to get a higher role this year. I mean, he plays almost like guard forward. Honestly, like he can guard the 2 and the 3 pretty well. He switches a lot, and he's well rounded. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do with our roster. There's a lot of unknowns, a lot of like potential that needs to come to fruition or not, and then we realize that we got to move some of these guys. So, people like making moves preseason or like in this off season, like there's still always mid-season mark that people could be moved for, other players. I was almost expecting that someone like Duncan or Wiggins would be on the move at this point. There's still time, honestly, if the Heat really like another guy out there and they want to make that move, but I don't think so. I think they got the pick they wanted, and so I don't expect much more movement in terms of the draft, unless it's a lateral move and they get a second-round pick. But I have not seen any signs of that, other than them working out guys that have been projected second-round picks. So I don't know why they would do that unless they expect them to go undrafted, and then they do their magic when it comes to undrafted. But the fact that Fleming and Nick Clifford are still available on the board, I think Fleming goes to the Hawks. I think the Hawks, if they still have that 22nd pick, they get him. And Clifford, if he drops to 24, he probably goes to the Thunder. I don't know what happens other than that. If they look back at the Heat. The Heat are done on the first round. Yep. For now, we don't know.
I mean, they want Wiggins gone so bad that they take a bag of chips for him. So it's not out of contention that he can move today.
Move Wiggins and get a second-round pick.
Anything to get him off the book. They don't want him.
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they made the decision after the
Nets got back-to-back picks. That's a good spot.
The Nets, right? Yeah, I've been looking at the Nets. The Nets, I don't think they picked 26 and 27.
They're dropping one of those two.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
we're probably going to see a trade in the coming round, like 26 and 27.
So yeah, Washington's going to make a pick here from Utah.
Washington is picking. Utah's picking for
Yeah.
Washington. Okay. Didn't they go Fleming?
I don't know, man, but Washington's crushing right now.
Washington looks good.
They look good. They absolutely destroyed. They did great. Will Riley.
Will Riley.
They
Not my
did really
favorite.
good this draft, man. Not a fan either, but they did really good this draft. They crushed it.
That's why we have the brainstorm. We got the call already.
Taboo. Casper is the friendly ghost.
Shout out E. Reed, man.
Shout out Erie. Absolute GOAT.
What an amazing human.
Backdoor cut. Casper is the ghost. Now you see him. Now you don't.
It's happened.
Oh my God. I wonder what his nickname's gonna be.
Curry on a fast break. Boom. Casper steals it from behind. You didn't see him there.
So the Hawks are up next. They're going Fleming, right?
38.
Fleming.
So Will Riley, this is going to Utah as well, or no?
Asa Newell's still out there? Oh,
Yeah.
dude. If I'm the Hawks, I'd be super
Is
happy.
this live right now? Is this Will Riley to the Jazz?
I can see this being Jace, though. I can see this being Jace.
Live and on tape.
They
already
need some
got their-
insurance. Who else is who's coming after Trey?
Ah, that's right. So this was the picks that were swapped for the Clayton.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Unless they want to get insurance on Porzingis too, so they could go big here
I
also.
forgot, yeah, the Hawks got Porzingis. They need a center. Luke Capella's not resigning there.
Clint Capella.
But I think they want to strike
Shout out
now.
Clint Capella.
Danny Wolf, that dude's ready, bro.
Yeah.
This could be.
You
a
have him
Danny
in your
Wolf
Shout
my
out-
franchise
Shout
over
out to
there.
any Hawks fans. Like, you're in a good position right now. You have Rozier Fleming, Nick Clifford, Danny Wolf.
You got a good spot, yeah.
You got those three options.
And
I'd
the
be
East
happy with
sucks.
any of them.
The East sucks,
And the
so that
East
you can make a
is
move.
in flux.
Also, Tyler Perry opened his studios over there as well. So Atlanta's just on fire, Russian.
Yeah.
across
The
the
hat sponsor's gonna say Tyler Perry on it.
Probably.
Yeah.
The Braves got a new stadium over there in Savannah, Georgia. They have a nice little town around there as well. And to tie it here with basketball, NBA on TNT gets to keep their studio in Atlanta and still make the move to be on ESPN. So it was a win-win-win across the board there. And on draft day, shout out Ernie Johnson. That's why I'm wearing the bow tie, baby.
Yeah.
Shout out EJ.
Nets
They've been
swap.
though. Yeah. This is a
Don't
Nets-
worry,
this is a
EJ.
Nets pick.
They're going Asa Newell.
I got no hair over here.
The Nets are
Ernie,
they're
Let me tell you something.
I'm the best I ever did it. 4 championships. Best I ever did it. Yo, who fan is this? Chucky.
Yes.
Damn right. They are. Why is it not being talked about? What part of it? I mean, the song is
I think they're going to pump it up more, but I've heard a little bit
your
about
boy,
it.
dude. Your boy, Tim Robinson.
Bro, what? I
Your
don't
boy
have it
Tim
up-
Robinson
I don't have it
has-
up on here anymore, but, yo, we should have been playing this music, guys. I apologize.
Oh, damn. The Gems?
I've been playing this, guys. It might be a little bit loud, so I apologize in advance. Get some music going for these guys.
Let's play.
Brooklyn high-fiving, taking off their shirts and shit.
Vibing. Non-copyright. Vibing. Courtside Cre8ives exclusive content here. Royalty free. None. Zip zero. Copyright infringement.
The pick is in.
The pig is in, and look who walks in. Man.
So I was just watching more clips of the pick. He's very good.
My agent just told me-
Casper's
Yeah, he's
for that
Yeah.
for that spot.
yeah, he's
I mean, there's a lot of guys that dropped. They shouldn't have dropped, honestly.
yeah, that's interesting. Now, I do have questions, right? If he's projected to be so high, like why did he fall to us? Maybe there's some athletic
he didn't
issues
have.
there. I don't know.
To me, it's because he didn't have something that was so stand out besides the passing and playmaking. And it's like not like he was an elite scorer, an elite shooter, or an elite defender. It wasn't like it was more like he was well rounded.
Mhm.
So it's like harder to point out to that shiny object.
Yeah.
So with the Heat, that's why I like Nick Clifford. Is like he could score, but he does a little bit of well rounded. So I feel like there's that. And these guys are getting the calls from the Hawks. Seems like they might be selected here. I think I'm gonna make it in the first round. So wait, is this pick going to the Nets or is it?
Yeah.
So this is the Nets trading what 26? I'm assuming. One of those.
Well, this is 22 right now.
But I'm saying they're swapping.
Well, I don't know exactly. That was for. Wasn't the?
That was earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Nets team. It's not a Heat team.
It's sheer.
Sheer Fleming.
Fleming is great.
Nick Clifford is a good name for sure.
We forget that the freaking Thunder have picks in the next. They literally have another pick coming up. Insane. The pick is in.
Drake Powell. They got their DeAndre Hunter replacement.
Wow,
That's what that
that's
is.
a reach. A little bit.
Yeah.
It's already late.
But it's not for them. It's for the Nets. They're so random, man.
Yeah, the Nets are random. This guy was predicted to be like at the end, if not the beginning of the second.
But they want like pretty guys. Like the Nets are like really like Drake.
I mean, North Carolina had a terrible season, so kind of got shadowed under, but
Where did Drake and Josh was out?
Yeah.
It's not like every Drake is
Drake Powell, yeah, inspired by Drake and Josh.
Yeah. No, this guy's fully Aubrey Graham.
Drake Powell, not related to Cassie Powell,
Or Zach Powell.
G League
Or
legend.
Dwight Powell
Or Dwight Powell.
or Colin Powell.
Or Colin Powell.
Colin Powell. So with these guys picking, so what do we got next? We got the Pelicans on the board.
But it's the Hawks pick somehow.
But
At
it's
this
the Hawks
point,
pick.
keeping up with who's got it how is insane. Just know that the Hawks are picking.
The Hawks are picking.
That's what we need.
It's
We need a camera angle. Charlie Day over there
So
working on the
Fleming,
board.
right?
Yeah. Probably.
Always
like
sunny.
the string,
Yeah.
like
Okay, guys. There's
Yeah, every single one of these picks is probably gonna get traded all the way
the
down.
political
I wouldn't be
dude that's
surprised.
always like, okay, so
Kornacki.
Steve Kornacki.
Not opening.
All right, let's go over. Let's go over to
It's like
Steve
tapping
Kornacki.
the board
What's
super hard.
happening with the trades with it?
This
All right,
county.
You're just powing
Oh,
out.
it's like, let's zoom
That's
in-
copyright.
let's zoom in on Junior Child, see how they're voting.
Let's cut over to Coral Gables, Florida, as the Miami Heat are getting
Yeah,
set to make their pick.
Coral Gables, Florida. Hialeah Gardens.
That was I could not believe that.
This is an ESPN. Kaseya.
To see it center. Yeah. No. Hasn't been ever.
At all.
No.
Take
If
my
you're on
talents.
95, it's like 6 more exits. And then you get off the Rickenbacker Causeway, and then you get on US 1 for another 30 minutes, maybe 53 with traffic.
Yeah.
and then you go to the Buck, depending where you're going. Yeah. Because shout out to the Heron Heads that were here earlier.
Yeah.
They were traveling, I think it was 3.6 miles, but it somehow translated to 58 minutes or something. Traffic. And it's like, I feel like we can throw something like 3 miles. And it takes them an hour to get there. Miami makes no sense. And Coral Gables is not near a Biscayne anything.
But you don't remember
Biscayne Boulevard runs this way, and over there is Coral Gables. Over there. Biscayne can take you to another county.
You really can.
That isn't Miami-Dade County with Coral Gables. So, yeah, I guess it's the same thing when they go live from Miami and it's a Dolphins game and they show you South Beach and it's Ocean Drive.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
Yeah.
This guy named Cicada Gata just told me where to park my car.
Cicada.
I am in Opelika, Carroll City. I parked at a Walmart over there. This is not South Beach. This is not Mangoes and the Cleveland. No, at all. You're not going to find that. Bienvenidos a Miami. I can't believe it.
I can't believe
Yeah, you missed a lot. You missed a lot.
Just for speakers. That's like
that is an ESPN broadcast. How did they miss that? That's crazy. The worldwide leader in sports.
Okay, I will say this. UM, the University of Miami.
That's
Coral Gables.
Yes. It's not a Coral Gables.
It's not
a Coral Gables.
UM basketball? Coral Gables. UM baseball? Coral Gables.
Yes.
UM aquatics, track and field, Coral Gables. Volleyball, Coral Gables.
Miami.
Football. American football. No. That is the one that we're saying. As for Cicada Gata, he'll tell you where the stadium is. And oh damn, where is it?
No blocking.
It's upstairs. Joe Robbie, dude. OG named Joe Robbie. That's where they play at. Dude, those are fighting words out there. Is Dolphin Mall in Sweetwater or Doral? Or is it in Fontainebleau? Because there's your wild card, homie. Is it Commissioner Perez? I have no idea, dude.
Look to it.
My parents are out there. We're in that area. West of that it's unincorporated still to this day where they're at. Doral begins 25th Street Northwest in the area that they're out there. But then there's all those signs that corner you in and say, hey, welcome for visiting. Bye. Thanks for goodbye. Hello. Welcome to Fountain Doral Blue. Hello. Sweet Blue Doral Water. Hello.
West End.
Goodbye. Bienvenidos.
Right, the pick is in, and we got
the Hornets? Or it's the Hawks again? What is happening here?
I think it's the Pelicans picking.
Okay.
Oh, it's the Hawks picking. The Pelicans are picking for the Hawks.
This is when they drop down 10 spots. This is this.
Yeah.
That's actually what you're saying.
Ask Noel.
It's a small thing. Instead of saying the pick is Ace and Newell. All right, so the Hawks got Ace and Newell. Where did I have him?
Real question: Dolphin Mall or Sunset Place?
Sunset Place. Yeah. Don't even mention that.
I'm taking my talents through all that.
Is it still there? Yeah, that's what I heard.
Damn, dude.
West of Chester, dude.
Yeah. I was a Sunset Place guy. Bubble Flats.
Sunset Place. Shout out to West Chester. She just did a piece on Sunset Place.
Sunset Place. Yep. What's the question here?
It's a conflict of interest. answer Kings Cats. So just answer.
We
James
got,
Dunleavy.
yeah.
Yeah, shout out to
I mean,
agent. That's his agent. Yeah. James Dunleavy, son of Mike Dunleavy.
Like,
Dunleavy Jr. or Dunleavy?
Junior in Los Angeles.
what?
wild.
What son of I was asking? Mike
Dun-
Dunleavy? Mike Dunleavy.
Senior or junior?
Son of Seaton.
Senior.
Brother.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because Junior's doing stuff, right?
Yeah, he's working for the Warriors.
Say you're
Yeah.
GM or no?
Yeah, he's a GM.
GM for the Warriors.
Redwood, California. You know what else happened in Redwood, California? O.J. Simpson murders.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. An accurate
I'll be down for that. I'll be down for that podcast. I'll be here for that.
The murder formerly known
I'll be here for that.
Yeah. Different places.
Yeah.
Really.
I don't know. Driving all of California in general
It's crazy.
is a country and a planet of its own. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it hits you like that.
The terrain is just
Yeah, the pick is in for the Thunder. We'll see.
OKC picking here.
Yeah, obviously picked it, but we're waiting on what it is.
That I haven't known.
Nick Clifford
Good on that.
or Jace.
I think it is. It has to be, right?
I've
He's such a good fit there.
been to a music thing.
You don't need another guy.
I was never
You got Swarber.
on. It feels intense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow, man.
Everything. Everything. How long are you open?
Wild. Wild. Where the Magic picking? That's a bigger question.
Ace.
If he's available, yeah.
Yeah, they need shooting. Period.
Criteria.
They lost
San
their
Francisco. There's no way we built that.
they lost their boy.
There's no.
Yeah, it has to. It's gonna be him.
That's going to be. Criteria.
It's all charade. OKC on the clock. Like if they need another pick, guys. You guys are picking the next guy that you're not going to hear about him for 2 years, and then you're going to hear a lot about him.
Oh, the Kings came in.
The Kings swapped in. Well, good. Yeah, I mean, you guys didn't.
This has been. I've been waiting for them to come in here.
Is this their first pick?
They didn't have a pick. I don't think they had a
Back
pick.
to your question about the Kings, they didn't even have a pick. They just traded with the Thunder. So this pick is for the Kings.
That changes things.
You know this how? It just said it's a little right above where it says the pick is in. There's a little asterisk above it, yellow mark.
There's another gap between baseball and some of the other sports. You can't trade away future picks. You have two picks, two selections that you can really trade your comp A pick if you have one, or your comp B pick. Usually the comp A pick is like the sandwich, round, small round, mini round sandwich between the first and second. And there's another round between the third and fourth, the second and third. And those are the only picks that you can trade in the same year that you're in. You can't trade future picks the way you can in the NFL or in the
Yo,
NBA.
I love a suit, man. Look at this guy. No one knew he was going to Sacramento with that suit. Got that gradient going. Look at that.
That's Sacramento or Utah. See that old Jazz jersey that
Oh,
had
yeah.
The mount. Oh, the
Eight.
yeah.
Similar vibes. Yeah.
This guy at 24 is great value.
So right before that, what wasn't it Mercier?
No, Asa Newell.
Clifford off the board.
To the Kings.
Y fuera.
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 Good dog.
All right, the two bigs that I expect to go between now and the end of the first are Maxine Reynaud from Stanford, I believe it is, and then Ryan Kalkbrenner. Two big centers that didn't go as like lottery picks, but they're value bigs that could probably be backup. Yeah. No, this kid, I guess this guy's tape is nasty.
Oh wow, the falls. Regina coming in with the falls.
What we were talking about.
We're talking about Sunset Place and Dolphin Palms coming in with the falls. Falls.
Oh boy! All right, this is what I come in as a Broward representative.
Yeah.
What is the falls?
No idea. You haven't made it that south.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's one of those things like you made it to Kendall campus, Miami-Dade Kendall campus, Kendall Village. You know that area.
Yep.
And then after that, it's just the Keys.
Yes.
Like you made the jump to the Keys after that. That in between area, like Steph, is from Perrine.
Yeah.
So Southland Mall is her home mall. You have no idea what that means. No
Yeah.
idea. And the Falls is just another one that you have no idea what it means because it's in that.
Right. Look, I think as a Broward representative, Dolphin Mall was the Florida Keys.
And that's why when I moved to Pines, they're like, "You're going to Orlando." You know what I mean? Like you're moving almost out of state, almost.
Where is it? There it is.
If you ask them where
Close
Nova
enough.
Southeastern is, and they just were national championships, they have no fucking idea. No idea. South Florida, right?
Yeah.
Southeast Florida. Nova Southeastern, Southeast Florida somewhere. What's the mall in Fort Lauderdale? I know there's like plenty in there's like when I was in Pines, there's literally two on the same street. Shops at Pembroke Gardens,
Yeah.
Pembroke Lakes Mall.
Yes,
Pembroke Lakes
those are
Mall,
two.
yeah.
So
Mall and place to go, do laps at different.
dude,
Dude,
both of those you do. That's why.
Where's the Broward spot to go? Your
So Sawgrass, Broward Mall.
Yeah. Broward Mall is
See.
off University and Broward Boulevard. Yeah. There's also Galleria Mall next to the beach, off Sunrise, I guess, close to A1A. Yeah, I love this because, like, I'm saying this, and you guys look at me like, "What are you talking about?" And it's only like 25 to 30
Is that an
miles.
ice baby? Doesn't he say A1A? Let's
You know what I never do.
Cafe. Holy
Cafe Iguana.
On the radio.
Le Boulevard
That
Cafe.
was great.
Le Boulevard.
Cafe Iguana. Bullies.
Oh my God!
David,
yeah.
what's next for Courtside Cre8ives? This
What
was our
is
first
next?
debut
Yeah.
on camera. What's this next checkpoint? We're gonna have a full show coming up.
Probably we'll have more video content. I mean, you can go on our Instagram page and check out a lot of the kind of in-depth reporting with some of the carousels that we've done. But we'll probably do a little bit more of the video content, kind of breaking down so much to cover just from like Heat history, contextualizing it, like how it matters to me. Like you can talk about the Big Three era, but like that era almost like doesn't mean anything today because just teams are constructed differently. Like we'll break down on the defensive reading in the major eras of the Heat, from the 90s, so Timmy kind of Pat Riley teams to the early 2000s when Shaq came into town, to obviously the Big Three era and even the Jimmy era. And like our team has found ways to be competitive and have a good defensive rating. And those are things, through lines that you can see in organizations, at least in our organization, that are worth noting and not just kind of being, overlooked. And so I think that those are the kinds of things that I like to cover: the history, and how you contextualize it with like today and where the game is going. Clearly, it's a faster paced game. It's deeper. There's more talent in different positions that you wouldn't expect. The big man back on track around is different than the big man today. So I think covering that kind of stuff is what you can expect a little bit more of. So yeah, a mix of in-depth analysis, a mix of heat history, and then you got a little bit of
Jace Richardson,
Jace,
son of Jason Richardson,
Yep.
and Christopher Columbus High School alumni right there.
Yep.
4 straight state championships. Just, I believe
shout
so.
out. Well, if, you know that small market.
Kings Cat Heat was the one
small
just
market
standing up for that.
team
So.
Duke just got
Never heard of them.
the Boozer
Never heard of
brothers
them.
also, which is looking like
Shout out to Cam and Caden Boozer.
Cam is
The
looking like a
Boozer
top big.
Bros
Like it's
was the high school player of the year, presented to him by Mr. Kevin Love.
you know, Jason Richardson. There's some
And,
highlights up here.
And incredible that also his son went to Michigan State University as well.
Yeah.
And to me, top 3 dunker all time.
Oh my God.
Top 3.
You play with AK-47, Corey Maggette.
Marvin, my list. I might have to go Fitz Carter, Jason Richardson, and Zach Levine.
For dunk contest dunkers?
Yeah.
Dunk contest dunker is different than like a Sean Kemp.
With what I've seen in just these people that can just move like that.
What about Aaron Gordon? What is he rated?
Aaron Gordon's
He's
up there.
4th.
He was nasty.
He's 4th for me.
Nasty. I would definitely go VC. This disgusting. Jason Richardson for sure.
Terry Jones Jr. out there. Shout out.
And wow, we got some leapers. That movie, that's so crazy. Man, 3rd would be tough.
When did Columbus become this powerhouse in basketball? Like, how long has this been? Obviously, like this
5
one
years
is
ago?
like the peak of it, but it feels like they've been on a crazy run. And trust me, I don't like to acknowledge that other school, but it feels like for a South Florida program to establish itself as the #1 program in the country in seemingly like a half decade.
Yeah.
Full decade, and I'm not giving them enough credit, but like it's about as good as you can hope for as any high school.
Yeah.
In terms of national accolades. I think their coach just got hired.
Yeah, just got hired by UF. Yeah, he's going to be an assistant staff there.
What do you get on Jay Lucas?
That's going to be interesting.
Coach.
Yeah, being a head coach is completely different from being an assistant. A lot of college head coaches are basically GMs. You really have to fill out your staff with people that, again, align with you, share the same vision. The key thing for UM is going to be how do they get players. I think that's where that deep connection really comes into play. He's used to getting 5 and 4 stars, and he's going to have the same expectations when he comes out here.
Was his role at Duke the recruiting coordinator?
I believe it was. You know, every assistant coach in any collegiate, sport, your job is to recruit, players. The head coach will generally, have the game plan and stuff like that. Obviously, assistants do that too, but 90% of your job is just to recruit. It's going to be interesting to see. UM's is a different beast.
Been active in the portal, I know that.
Yeah, he started off hot. Coach L, love him to death. Great coach, brought in such a great era of basketball to UM. Just the constant turnover of rosters can be quite challenging, especially when you're trying to build a program.
Yes, year-to-year game.
Yes.
You're not really doing any sort of development. It's like, how can I compile the best team to be competitive now?
Right.
You have to punt development. This is happening in baseball very much as well.
Yeah.
Where it's become this year over year because of the portal.
That's probably the downside of the NIL thing is like you're chasing the money, so you don't stay somewhere where like you have consistency in coaching and development. So it's almost like the players have to be guided by a third party to make that happen, like a trainer or someone that's guiding them outside of the coaching staff alone, right? Because like how else do you have that consistency?
Yeah.
You have one good coach, and you go somewhere else, and it's
Yeah.
okay, and then you go to third spot.
Yeah. What really helps him in this situation is that he's coming from the ACC. So he knows exactly what to recruit, how to be successful in this league. I think for a lot of coaches, when they change conferences, the game is a lot different. I'll just speak to my time and being a college coach. I was in the Lone Star Conference, which was very slow, very physical. Teams played in the half court. You play a game in the RMAC, which is like in Colorado, and everybody's running. We're getting up and down. They have the altitude, on their side, so teams want to run us down. There's a big adjustment that you have to make. So I think for Jay coming in, like he knows like, hey, look, Duke has this. We have to be this in order to reach our goals, which I would imagine is to head back to the national championship Final Four. But you were 2 years removed from that. 2 years removed from that, so it's not like it's out of reach. Yeah,
that run was great because then we had FAU also.
Yeah, I went to that Final Four.
We had Elijah Martin, who ended up transferring to University of Florida and then ended up winning it this year. And he's a second round projection, and he's a guy who's like 6'2", 6'3", but plays bigger than that. Like he plays like almost like a forward, gets rebounds, is athletic.
Yeah,
had a dunk in the I don't know if it was a Final Four or if it was in the actual championship game that was like absurd. I think it was Final Four. And there's guys like that still playing local programs.
Yeah.
That, hopefully you keep them as opposed to them going to another program.
For sure.
It's a tough one.
I just like how UM has the resources to be successful. I think that's like 80, 90% of it. Like, do you have support from the staff, the AD? Do they want to see the basketball team be good?
And is the revenue sharing going to come your way? Because in this new era of like revenue sharing, the school gets to distribute it at their discretion. So at a school like Duke, where football isn't going to get the lion's share of the share, they can revenue share at Duke in the direction of the basketball program more so. Whereas in Miami, they still got to accommodate football will still be king, but basketball will be that second sport that they get to revenue share to.
Yeah.
So
Ben Seraph.
The Nets are selecting Ben Seraph here also off.
So your guy.
I mean, they all came after the fact. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. All those guys are off. Ben Seraph selected by the Nets.
Out of Israel.
That's a big drop off in my opinion. I mean, if they pick the next, they have the next pick. Yeah,
they're getting some guys.
Yeah. This guy was like a combo guard. He could shoot, he could pass.
Downhill.
He played in the same team as Noah Senge. And it was funny. They were giving like a bunch of crap to Senge because they're like in the finals right now. And their team is up like 3-2. And Senge like left to come to the green room invite to like be here for the draft. And people were like, how would you leave your team if they're in the finals? And in my opinion, I'm like, because his dream is to be in the NBA, not play in a German league final. You know what I mean? Like, there's people out there that have opinions on just absurd things. So, but it's funny that those two played both in the first round as international players, which kind of puts them on. I've never heard of that Germany team until this year.
Yeah.
So, I guess it puts them on the map a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So the Nets have the following pick. They have this pick again. They have 26 and 27. I don't know if they keep this pick or there's someone that they're going to pick for. Danny Wolf is what? Yeah, that would be a granite.
That's a Phoenix at the top.
No, it would have like a yellow bar. It'll tell you.
Oh yeah.
Danny Wolf looks distraught.
Yeah, he's very nervous.
But these guys are happy. These guys are happy about everything.
I love it. You pick a guy, you enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment.
So much work that goes into
my goodness, yes. I wish I had my laptop with my synergy numbers. I would just be slapping them all at you.
I think it is him. I think he's like he's not distraught. I think he's like in disbelief.
Yeah. The amount of research that goes into this pick, and I'm sure you can speak to it on baseball too. I mean, who their ninth grade math teacher was, what team they played for in middle school. what position they were at that time.
And if you're the
Thank
scout, all the work you did, all the players you did diligence on that didn't go your way. You know, that you did. It happens like that in baseball. You draft or you scout so many more players than your team actually selects, if they select one of your players at all. So you can go through this year of doing the whole year's work as a scout and get shut out in the draft, basically, and not get a single player selected. I don't know if it works the same way on the basketball side. Yeah, we're slipping on the chat, dude. That shit's like. Queen's cat. Stop it.
I don't know who they go with here, man. Too many options. I can't believe Fleming's on the board, honestly. Danny Wolf is getting picked by the Nets. He's getting picked before the first round, I think. Yeah.
Give it away.
Look at the people around him. They're smiling. Which means like he's
Body language is not.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, Danny Wolf's going to the Nets.
Danny Wolf.
Is that what he was crying about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. That's dude.
Incredible. That team's gonna be fun to watch. In flux. There's a lot of moving parts, but I wonder if they keep Cam Johnson or they move him. I would move Cam Johnson.
All right, let's see if the Brooklyn draft room is standing up for this one.
Yeah, you got the Celtics up now. Last 3 picks of the round.
Okay, the Celtics.
Suns, and the Clip. I think the Celtics go Kalkbrenner or Reynaud.
I'm interested to see this iteration of the Celtics now. A little bit of a soft rebuild.
The soft reset.
Soft reset, yeah.
They lost. They traded away Porzingis. They traded away Drew. They're gonna lose Cornette likely. So they're left with Al Horford. I don't know how he does it. Every year I'm like, oh, he's getting too old, and I'm like, dude, still balls somehow. But still, you need a backup big. So that's why I think it's either Reynaud or Kalkbrenner here. I would be shocked if they go a different route.
And if I'm not
Yeah, but Al
mistaken,
Horford's an unrestricted free agent.
and Derek White's contract, I believe, increases year to year, which is something also to look out for. So he could be someone possibly on the move. I know they made those 2 trades to get under the second apron.
Yeah.
A new ownership group is now taking over the Boston Celtics. I wonder how much that is going to affect their decision making going forward. And also, always shout out Brad Stevens. He's probably one of my favorite coaches.
Oh yeah,
basketball minds, just in general, that I've ever seen. So it's going to be interesting to see.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it's not coaching tomorrow. I was shocked when he stopped coaching. God, I thought he was going to be on the bench forever.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. He's just so smart, man. Daniels was there. Yeah, for sure.
Just looking at this, I'm like, there's still guys in the second round that if he can find a way to get into the second round, I'd be happy with that. Incredible. Yeah, I wonder what they do. I wonder if they're gonna keep leaning into the whole like 3-point,
Yes.
because then they go Reno, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because he shoots threes at a higher clip. Or they want more of a Cornet style big, and they go Cockburn.
Yeah. I wonder if they look for. Oh my goodness! Look at this
Holy
guy's
crap.
right. Oh yeah, he might get me.
Brother.
Oh my! It's okay,
He
dude.
looks like a Pixar character, man. This dude, it's wild.
So, this is a good thing, man. Your life is changing for the better.
Hugo Gonzalez, I did not expect that.
No way.
That's a prospect that you just bank and figure out. He's a guy that you would think like, oh, no Oklahoma. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say since Tatum's been hurt.
No, he's like a 6'6", 6'7", but he's young, dude. He's like 18. He's 6'6", born in 2006.
Yeah, that
Wild, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
2006.
Yeah. He played for Real Madrid. And we got the last two picks, which is Phoenix, but they're choosing for someone else. They're choosing for the Hornets.
Entire family.
Yeah.
A good crying
Yeah. They didn't take crying lessons. The family did not. Adrian, so this is the Suns picking, but for the Hornets, right?
Yes.
From what I'm reading. Yeah.
Yes. Look at it,
Brother. These guys
give this guy a
these guys-
towel. Oh,
Yo, that
poor
I mean, it
thing.
kind of writes itself because you could just be like the boy who cried wolf. Anyways, we get in the stream. No, I'm curious to see these last two. So you got the Hornets picking 29th, and then you got the Clippers picking at the end. And I'm surprised they went Hugo Gonzalez. So you got still the two bigs out there. I'd be surprised if Reyno doesn't go here. McNeely, a shooter?
What the hell?
Because they're not going to keep who's their current shooter on the roster? It came from who? For the Suns? Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen, yeah.
Are they keeping him?
Yeah. They have a ton of money.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I miss about the NBA draft? David Stern would come out, right, to a very raucous crowd
Yeah.
and get booed and egg it on.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, he would.
It was bless you. It was the greatest. This NBA draft we've been watching has been so tame.
Yeah.
I miss the angry New Yorker
Yeah, 100%.
going at the commissioner and him just like relishing in it. It was
Barclays
amazing.
Center.
They're like
Yeah, Goodell.
going in.
Yeah, it's
You would see-
amazing.
It's so true because you would see David Stern come out and fucking shit is flying at him and stuff, and he'd be like,
Yeah. I remember when he came out, I was just like, yeah, let me hear it. He was so good. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Everything he did for the game. I mean, we wouldn't be hearing all these names. We wouldn't be saying we if the game didn't open up and become global because of David Stern, the Dream Team, that Olympics and everything. So shout out, man. And then everything with NBA Cares and NBA World, and rest in peace to another Titan, the Kevin Mutombo, man. Everything that dude did, being a part of those organizations and everything. So yeah, David Stern, Gordon.
What?
Randomly, like, into.
Yeah.
Because I sat down with him, and it was an hour conversation. Yeah, nice.
That's
That
crazy.
always
That's crazy.
But he's still the same humble from wherever he grew up at and stuff. So
That's
the humility goes the longest way, man. And you have those moments.
It's crazy how it sticks with you too. I remember the first time I met Glenn Rice. Yeah, I asked you, Junior. I was like, "You met Glenn? Like, what's he like?"
Yeah.
It's like he's the nicest guy. I was nervous. I'm a South Florida kid, just like everybody else. I looked up to Glenn Rice. Could not have been any more nice. And I got to know him.
In this specific case with Glenn consistently, because Glenn is still a part of the Heat organization. So when I met him was getting into the Heat organization. I met him one time as a little kid. Great experience. You know, you might have a great experience. You might have a shitty experience. It depends. Everyone's human. Depends how you catch them, etc. I had one experience as a little kid. Great. Picture. High fives. Great. And then getting into the organization, having several interactions and whatever consistently every single time. And I mean, it just proves to you the character of a person and all that. And in camp, he's heavily involved. Now, since I've been gone, he's gotten like really involved. He's like one of the anchors.
He's literally there every day at camp. Every day, Monday through Friday.
And the kids have no idea now, like the little 6-year-olds now at camp, the 10-year-olds have no idea, and we're talking about it now. Like that's so dope to have. What's Glenn Rice? What day to day? Like
Junior, I was having a coaches meeting with the coaches in camp because Tony wasn't there, and he was at we had 2 locations, one in Dayton, one in Broward for camp. And Glenn Rice is sitting right next to me. Like I'm just like, yo, what's going on? Like you start just like freaking out a little bit. It's just like Glenn Rice is listening to me give out coaching instructions. He's just like, this is cool. Like you're just like, this is the coolest thing ever. And he's so nice, he's so supportive, and he's hilarious. If you ever get to meet him, he's the nicest
Dan
guy.
Hurley here, UConn grad, elected McNeely.
James Jones pick, huh?
Hornets.
James Jones had something to do with that pick. Oh,
he's there anymore.
He's not.
No, he went to the Hornets.
I don't think James Jones worked for the Suns. Hornets.
It's a Suns to the Hornets pick.
He was there.
Yeah, it's getting rerouted from my understanding. So, which the Hornets need shooting. So,
I haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah.
James Jones? Not personally.
Pull it up right now.
Not personally.
Yeah. Like how'd that big 3 pan out? Now the last pick, the Clippers. It's a winger center. They already kind of got their center. They want center depth. They get. I mean, I can't believe Fleming on the board. That is my biggest shocker.
Bill?
Really? Holy.
You still got that grip?
All George impacting in ways he never imagined, dude.
Still out here looking. James Jones' career, dude. Deep in this. Legend of days, in my opinion.
Also, so I had notes for guys, some, myself and others that are kind of aggregated, breakout second, third-year players. I said, I think Jaime is going to have a bounce back third year. I think Paolo is going to continue to improve. I think Drew Smith is good positioning himself to be the guard version of a Haywood Highsmith. Just like finds a way to play defense and, fit into the mold of the team. Outside of the Heat, Devin Carter. I just like that guy. I think he could ball. And Reed Shepard for the Houston Rockets. And then the Pistons, man. Jaden Ivey went down last year, and he was having a great season. And I think that dude is going to fall out when he's back. The Orlando Magic and the Pistons are going to be a problem in the East.
Yes.
And if people don't know that, they better take notice. It is happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
So, the way that kind of the Thunder snuck up on people in the last 2 seasons, like, that's what we're talking about. They are stacking up, and they are putting themselves in that position. And obviously, the Magic finally took a swing, and they got Desmond Bain, and it's, I think, a smart move for them. So, get ready for that. And then other players, I think even Houston still has Jabari Smith, which, he's kind of like unproven, but he has the skill set to possibly break out. The Thompson twins in general, both Thompson, Asar, and the other those guys are incredible. So I think they're just going to keep breaking out. Those are kind of like the main ones for me. I think are going to have great second, third years.
What's up with that interview there?
It was Lee McNeely, him and his mom. He's kind of, people expected him to go the first round. He's kind of like accurate where he ended up. Like he can shoot, but it was inconsistent. To me, it's like potential to be like kind of like a Duncan Robinson, not really known for his defense, but I guess a winning player coming from UConn, so he knows what it takes. So a program, the Hornets are kind of a weird organization, like we said. So I don't know if that's the best fit, but they do need shooters. So you will have opportunities to shoot the ball because they have shot terribly. It was the reason why they tried trading for Dalton Connect last season. Yeah.
Yes.
Who's the next
The
pick?
Clippers
Last pick are the Clippers.
Clippers are up next.
They're in a weird spot too. Like they're always knocking on the door.
Last pick of the
first round.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we're here.
One
Made it.
interesting thing about the Clippers is that obviously Steve Ballmer owns them, and that leads to the bigger point. He's by far the wealthiest owner in professional sports, and he's willing enough to spend, which also makes me think that if he ever got like a Brad Stevens, a current Pat Riley type of GM that has this vision, he could easily outpay everyone. And he's in Los Angeles, which is a very attractive destination. If I were him, I would be on the lookout for that because I think he could be GG's for the rest of the league if he ever got this guy.
Yeah, the right GM. Also, my biggest concern has been Kawhi. It's like amazing talent, 2-time champion. But you don't know what his availability is, and you don't know if you can count on him when the playoffs start.
Right.
And also Harden. It's like Harden. It's like man, Harden also to me, and this is almost like I guess you just glaze over it because people like him and Trey and think scorers, but him and Trey have amazing assist numbers.
Yep.
Up there, top 3, top 5 assist numbers. So it's like he got that going for him, and he's kind of like evolved his game for that. But it's also he has a track record of stepping back when the playoffs come.
Of course.
So it's like, and it happened ever since he played us. When we played OKC, when we won our first chip, it was like first chip with LeBron. You could see he kind of took a step back. But you thought, oh, maybe he comes back the way that J-Dub did this time around. Had a bad playoff run last year and then stepped it up this year. I don't know. Harden just hasn't had that. It's weird. And so that's such one. Those are the two main guys. You don't know if their availability or they're going to step up when it counts. Which is going to happen.
Right. Your best ability is your availability. And they have to struggle with that.
Let's see. Final pick. The Clippers.
Here we go.
What's this guy's name right here?
All right, let's start.
Yannick Conan Niederhauser. Let's go.
Say that five times.
Niederhauser.
Yannick Conan Niederhauser.
Bro, his mom was like, I need more vowels. Give me all the vowels.
Why
Rasendaga.
I don't even know why they need to say his middle name though.
And why was he in the
stand? Yannick
Yannick
Conan.
Why
And
was
they
he
had him in the nosebleeds too.
Why
Yeah,
was he in the
Dude didn't even get a green room. He got like
he was just doing swag
just
surf
doing
with
it.
fucking
He was
with
like
Dale
John
inside
Cena.
from
the
415.
gray room.
What was just happening there, dude?
Yeah.
He just got a T-shirt from one of the hoop troop over there at the draft.
This
Bro,
is honestly
shout
not
out.
surprising though. I thought they were gonna go big.
Yannick
But-
Conan Niederhauser.
So you're
Where's
gonna
he
have
from?
Kalkbrenner and Reynaud in the second round. of it. Yeah, great
Yeah.
names, yeah.
And we almost had Werewolf. And it's just,
You could have gone Werewolf. That
What does
wraps
that
it up. Huh? Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Second round is tomorrow. We will not be going live, but you can probably catch me live tweeting that. And then, other than that, I think, rather, I think I'm happy with the Heat with that player dropping to the level that he did, and us needing a guard. It kind of makes sense, honestly. And he's well-rounded. He can be coached. I haven't heard anything negative. It's just more like he has no outlier skill set. That's what's kind of probably contributed to him dropping. So I'm excited to see what the Heat do with him, how they develop him. He probably will have an opportunity, but he will have to battle it out with the other guards on the team, which is good for him. I think that's great. So thank you all for tuning in. I think this is a great, first live stream for Courtside Cre8ives and 78Six Sports on the basketball front. Looking forward to doing more of it. Yeah, you guys have a great night. Appreciate it.
Congrats. Congrats to Yannick Conan Niederhauser, Swiss college basketball
Play it
player.
out with
Swiss.
some music.
Play it out. Play it
Play it
out.
out right
Shout out to Adrian off camera for all the stats, for everything, for the vibe. Shout out to the Marantula, Marvin Johnson kicking it with us, AC Perez, Adrian Lorenzo, Giancarlo Legends of Dade, and the Grandmaster himself, David J. Verhano. The J is for
Jonathan.
and his baby is also a J. The notorious Joaquin lives on as well. Thank you, Regina, for chiming in. Courtside Cre8ives. Congrats, brother. Congrats. Oh!